This episode of the One Piece podcast is brought to you by Kolektakon. Go to kolektakon.com/One Piece to get all the latest and greatest Mega House One Piece merchandise. Awesome POPs available for a very low price. Go to kolektakon.com today.
This is the unofficial One Piece podcast, episode 338 for the week of Monday, September 22nd, 2014. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's episode, we have special guest Joey Weiser. Hey, Joey.
Hey, guys.
What's going on with you recently?
I've been doing some conventions. The third Merman book just came out, and so I was at SPX with Steve and the dude, and I met Ed for the first time, which was cool. And I was just in Asheville. That was fun.
Cool. So, all over the place.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't picked that up yet, you should pick up Merman. Volume 3, as Joey said, is out now. Also, things have been happening with the website, and by the website I mean OPPJapan. We have finally announced the release date. This has taken a very long time to announce. It is officially October 3rd, and it's officially coming out via our own website, which is going to be OPPJapan.com, which is, as we speak now, just about done. Hopefully it'll be out either tonight or tomorrow. I don't know when you're listening to this, so tonight or tomorrow from when you're listening to this. We're very excited to finally show this movie to you. Both excited and ready, even maybe. So we hope you guys check that out. We also have the newest trailer, which was launched with Funimation to announce that October 3rd date. You can check that out at youtube.com/Funimation, search One Piece Podcast Japan, or just follow us on any of our social media, and we'll post it every 30 seconds. So make sure to check that out. Again, right now...
Yeah, that trailer is cool. I like the music a lot.
Great. Awesome. So check that out again at OPPJapan.com. That'll be out this week. Right now, it just forwards to our website, OnePiecePodcast.com, which is also a good place to go, which, as a little segue, we have a lot of news this week, so on OnePiecePodcast.com. First, Funimation announced that on December 23rd, One Piece Season 6 Voyage 3 will be out. Have you guys heard this news? You're excited? Anyone? No one?
I'm still waiting for Voyage 1
yeah,
release.
That's incredible that they've announced 3 and none of them have come out yet.
And a movie.
The release date is fast approaching for Volume 1.
Probably by this time next week, it'll probably be shipping out. I think it comes out next Tuesday.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. That's the One Piece podcast motto. Probably.
Maybe, sort of.
We've done our research.
So I think there's only one more Thriller Bark set to be announced after that. Am I wrong? I think it's around 1 or 2 more.
I think it's 5 sets, depending on whether or not they include, or what they include at the end of the set.
Yeah, there was some filler after Thriller Bark, right? There was a Spa
There
Island.
was, Spa Island, I believe.
I think there was one other... Maybe I'm losing my mind. Anyway, pick that up. It's great that we're going to get 3 of these before the year closes out. Thriller Bark. We've already gotten, actually, a sneak peek at it's Bink's Brew, Bink's Sake, as many of us know it as. What did you guys think of that? Steve?
I was kind of hoping we get the full song, but they dubbed only like the very first appearance of the song, really. It was still cool, though. I like that scene.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they're still working on those episodes. But incredible. I thought it was awesome. I thought the translation was pretty good. I felt very close to what the dude did years ago. And I think even the dude also called it Pink's Brew.
Yeah, he did. I think they called it that in Viz, right?
Yes, I think.
Joey, your thoughts?
I think the motto of the One Piece podcast.
I didn't get a chance to check it out yet, but now that I know it's out there, I'm definitely gonna take a listen because.
How did you not know?
And
It was Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say they announced it in honor of Talk Like a Pirate Day. As
I
did
think I was
announced.
Ignoring as much as possible anytime anybody said Talk Like a Pirate Day.
So other good news, OnePiece.com, one-piece.com, the official site, now has Greg's column out, not just in Japanese, but also in English. This is big news. You guys have been asking about that, and so now you don't have to depend on Google Translates, iffy translations there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
It's great, and it's a great opportunity to see what goes on inside the One Piece mind of Greg.
It's like having a piece of Greg around, and even though he can't be on the podcast more than every couple of months, unfortunately, because of our schedule.
Well, speaking of Ed, we have Greg on for this episode. We have him on.
My God! I forgot I was there.
Wow, you're terrible at acting, and I thought I was bad. No, so we have Greg on for Greg No Gougai today, and also for the Manga Recap. So you get to hear his opinions on the latest happenings, so that's exciting. As
Joey said, he is a rare Pokemon.
Yes, we've learned that. So we also found out that the One Piece Dance Battle second trailer came out. As William posted at Get Jiggy with One Piece. You can check that out on our website if you want to.
And as I put it, commence the jiggling, y'all. The boobies bounce. That's the joke.
I don't know. I haven't actually seen any of the trailers for this game, but every time I think of like a One Piece dancing game, I think of how much Brook looks like the character with the afro from Yakitate Japan. Like, if he was alive, if he was just a skeleton, that's what it would look like.
So that's where Brook came from.
Him dancing in that 3D CGI ending that they used with that awesome song. Anyway, check out Yakitate Japan, coming out soon from Right Stuff.
Thank you, Ed. That was the point we were trying
Right
to
Stuff
make.
is releasing it. Cool.
Yeah, so I think it's a sub-only release.
Yeah. Doubt that's a dub.
I don't see American.
Well, they've
anime
released
fans
dubs
being
before,
into
but
a
they were
show about
pre-existing
bread.
dubs.
Yeah, but as
Bread is awesome.
Bread makes you fat.
but it is still awesome. Also good news, and I'm sad the dude isn't here to talk about this news. There's a One Piece Music Symphony concert that will be held in London next year. That's going to include Kohei Tanaka, and as per the usual concerts, it's probably going to be amazing. And I'm jealous of everyone over there in the UK, but don't miss it, because the music in One Piece is definitely... in the anime, definitely the highlight for me. So, and I think for many people out there. So go check that out. I'll try and live vicariously through you. The first trailer for One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 was unveiled recently at the Tokyo Game Show. You can check that out at our website. For those who remember the One Piece 300 million thanks, or this is the manga, the New York Times spread, and it was only in the New York Times in the United States. It was in Taiwan as well.
I kind of wish that there was a place that had collected all of the prefectures and.
I think there are.
ads.
I think there are. I think.
I would like to be pointed in that direction then.
Isn't it on that site that Greg's column is on?
It is. If you just want to look at them, if you want to see them in person, I believe you could go to Japan, where they not only they probably have it at like the One Piece exhibit, but I know the cafe, the All Blue, I think cafe guy managed to collect them all, which I'm sure was a pretty expensive endeavor, because you probably had to buy those from people, especially the ones overseas.
Yeah.
Yes. So 2 more pieces of news I'll go through quick. This one I have no idea, but there's a new T-shirt, One Piece T-shirt on sale. You can check that out on our website. And more importantly, the new digital Jump Plus service has started up as of today. Well, in Japan time, yesterday, and in your listening time 2 days ago. I know this is very confusing, but what Jump Plus is essentially it gives digital versions of Shueisha and Jump manga. So this is something that I think people have been asking for around the world. It also kind of explains we've talked about in the past the anti-piracy effort that Shueisha has seemingly has been taking over the last few months.
Well, I mean, it's sort of gone into effect over the last 2 to 3 weeks. People in the West have started to notice.
Yes. So in Shonen Jump Plus, you could get digital versions of the manga, every week's digital issue of Weekly Shonen Jump, the same day it goes on sale. So it's essentially what we get in English, except now they're getting it in Japan as well. In addition, they get the monthly magazine Jump Next. They get several other things, including exclusive series to Jump Plus, and also a full color exclusive, digital exclusive full color One Piece chapter will be out. I think that might be out in the first issue. I'm not sure because I do not have it, and I'm guessing it's all in Japanese. There's also a Naruto art collection for those who care about that. So you can check that out at their official website. That's plus.shonenjump.com. That's all the news that's happened in the past week. It's been a very busy week. You can check all that and more out at OnePiecePodcast.com. For now, we have a really packed episode for you. You ready to get into the show?
All right.
This is the Greg No Go Guy segment, and returning with us for Greg No Go Guy, we have Greg. How are you doing?
Hello.
How's it been? It's been forever.
For the first time in forever, I'm on the One Piece podcast.
What have you been up to?
Practicing songs from Frozen, evidently. No, everything. I've just been all sorts of mischief and things One Piece related, in addition to my real job. But yeah, things are going well over here.
Yeah, everything is probably a good answer for you. Congratulations. Also, before we get into the OPP Japan stuff we were going to talk about today, your column's out in English now.
It is. It's over at onepiece.com. That's one-piece.com. And it's the first English content that they have on the site. Really am honored and excited to be working on that. I'm excited and ready, right?
People will get that soon.
People will get that soon.
I'll use that as a transition.
Okay.
So we just announced that OPP Japan, One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan, is going to be coming out on October 3rd on a custom-made website. Probably won't be a very complicated website as we speak. We're still getting it out. But at OPPJapan.com. And this has been a process.
Everyone thought you only had Halloween to look forward to this year in October.
There's 2 events. And apparently, October 3rd is the day everything comes out here in the United States. So a lot of things that I haven't, I don't have.
Wait, what? Like what? Like One Piece stuff?
No, like non-One Piece stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Although
we don't care about that.
Film Z does come out on September 30th, and Thriller Bark starts coming out on September 30th, so that's right before. But yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about the post-production process? We had a whole podcast about the production, so it seems fair that we talk a little bit about this slightly more tedious and frustrating process.
Ever so slightly. By like a year.
It took a lot longer. We did say winter. We didn't say which winter. And if anything, I think we beat our expectations of winter. And we've done it in autumn. So, Greg, I guess I'm trying to remember just when it started. I guess it started, during filming even.
Yeah, it was always a question of how will we be able to distribute it, and that's without going too much into the details, that's kind of something that as a result of being allowed to do this with Shueisha and with Toei, that we've kind of had to default to them, which we knew going into, and so we've just had to be very, very careful with how we dealt with the merchandise. The important thing to remember is that it is semi-official, which is to say it's not official. So, as I think Josh just mentioned on a recent episode, if not the last episode, he was talking about how tough it is, when there's just something is minorly different as the TV movies. Yeah, and how complicated those are in contracts. So you can imagine what this is like for us. Speaking to the editor of One Piece and people that are involved with the series, doing something as fans. So it's been a long road, and it's been a lot of approval and a lot of waiting, unfortunately. But there's nothing really we could do about that. However, Mr. Sasaki, I think he likes to call him Sasaki-san, has been very, very helpful with the kind of leading the approval process, and he's kind of been the person that I've gone to. If you're listening, who is this? He is the former editor-in-chief of Weekly Shonen Jump, and he has a different position within Shueisha, but he's been our major contact, and he's helped us through all of the steps of it, and he's overseen the project.
We had him on episode 300, if you're curious, a little bit more about his backstory. And
what's it called, Stand and Jump?
It's called Stand and Jump, yes.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Keep going, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. I mean, we worked very closely with him. And this is just kind of a cool nugget for everyone involved to know. I mean, we've stayed hush hush about it just because we weren't sure when the release was going to happen, and now we know for sure, and we're happy to have that out. But I think I can say that at least on the podcast is that this actually has the approval of Oda himself.
Yeah, he actually got to see the movie and approve it. It's good that both of those happen.
We didn't expect it.
No.
Good that both of those happened. Yeah.
No, we didn't expect him to watch it, and I think we even expected less that he'd approve it, and it's just an honor to think that he actually did both of those things.
Yeah, I think you'll see in the documentary there are a couple scenes that delve into Oda's life. Young life and his developmental years, progressing into a mangaka, and both sides, both ourselves and Shueisha, wanted to make sure that it wasn't too sensitive, and particularly Shueisha wanted to protect him, and I don't blame them at all. So they said, you know what? Why don't we take it to him? And I was like, really? And we had to wait on it, but eventually we got a response. It was like, it's got Oda's approval. So it's like, whoa,
yeah,
cool.
That was incredible to hear,
and exciting.
Yeah, creepy that not creepy. It's kind of, I'm scared for myself about how he heard my amazing acting abilities and jet laggedness, as Steve would call it. No, it's crazy cool. I still can't get over it.
Yeah, so that's not something we can, slap on the site and like Oda approved. I mean, it's not something we can really boast about. But for our listeners here, we just thought it'd be cool to let you in on that. But
let's get a big Oda approval stamp. Just place it on the site. Yeah. No. We would if we could, but we shouldn't. No, so even though the approval process was pretty, it took a while, and there were, of course, hurdles along the way. Everyone we spoke to was super nice and super understanding, and the reason it is a success, or the reason it's able to come out, I should say, is because of them. So even though there were a lot of hurdles to jump through, those hurdles, it is. Basically, I think it's in its complete form as after the first time Jose edited it. I mean, other than a few mistakes we caught, I think it's in that final form even today. So I don't think we had to change that much, right, or anything.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised at how much was able to be left in, and what's cool is we also made some friends along the way. hopefully we'll be able to collaborate with them on some things in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, from filming through here.
Yeah, filming and through the approval process, it's been kind of cool. So we are looking forward to definitely things that the podcast can do in the future. Even though I'm not really on the podcast that much, but I still feel like a part of it.
No, you are a part of it, Greg. Don't. It's just because you leave for a little. Look, I left for longer than you've been gone. I think at a point, right? I think I was gone from like April to August. So they didn't kick me off. They were about to, but they didn't. So you're always a part of the podcast, Greg. It's a part of us all. Sorry. But that's Steve the Simpsons.
Excuse me. Just hit me right there. Okay. Okay. I'm okay.
So yeah, I hope everyone looks forward to it coming out on OPPJapan.com on October 3rd. We're of course looking to bring it to a wider audience still. I don't think that's ever off the table, and the post-production negotiations continue onward into the future. Forever. And we said this on the site as well. We're gonna have deleted scenes and stuff Jose's working on. So for those Kickstarter supporters who backed, and Greg Razor supporters, can't forget about the Greg Razors, to get you to Boston, Greg.
That was so cool.
All of you guys will also get your rewards. They've just taken a lot longer because of this post-production process. So think of this as being last October, because that's when we originally. That's for some reason. I think this is mostly my fault here, or all my fault.
You guys said winter, and I was like, oh, all right. If you think so, okay.
I don't think I comprehended the process that had to take place. We didn't even not just that was the production process took longer than that. So I was just ignorant as to what had to happen. But now I know. So if we ever do
the One Piece podcast goes to Japan Part 2.
Yeah, if we ever do that, I will know. Yeah, it's going to be at least a year. Unless there's more than 3 of us working on it. Then it might go a little quicker. Because I had noticed Jon Stewart's movie, which he filmed at the same exact time, is coming out around the same time. But he also had hundreds of people working on it, and the professional production. So I think we've had a couple friends of ours look at it and go over the things they liked about it, and we edited it accordingly. They all really really enjoyed it. It's definitely a movie for One Piece fans by One Piece fans. And I do not think it will disappoint.
I think there's a little bit of something for everyone in there. If you're into merchandising, there's plenty of that. We spent a good time at the Mugiwara store. If you're into the anime, we speak with a lot of people in the anime. If you're only into the manga, that's kind of something that we've saved for last. If you're into events, even a little bit of cosplay, and a little bit of Japanese culture too. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I mean, even if you're like, this is kind of dragging here, there's something for you somewhere in there. So look forward to it. Do watch it in its entirety. It's definitely a product of love of a lot of fans. Yeah. All the Kickstarter supporters,
the Greg Razor supporters,
whole podcast team, and of course everyone, Shueisha, Toei, and in between. So we hope you enjoy it.
Clips will be out on Funimation's YouTube page at youtube.com/Funimation. Those will be rolling. They're going to probably be... I don't know when this segment's coming out, but they'll be starting... They'll probably be once a week through the release, and then hopefully thereafter for a little bit. And in addition, I think the deleted scenes, the earliest they're going to come out is the very end of November, just due to Jose's schedule. As you may know, Jose is working at CNN, and he's a busy guy. And also CNN, they don't really have a set schedule, I don't think, because, sometimes breaking news pops up and stuff. So I don't want to guarantee any dates. But that's what we're aiming for, which is not that long after release. It's 1 to 2 months after release. That's good. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy it. Greg, any words? Final words?
20 minutes of BS is hilarious.
It'll make Steve and Dude's day, I think.
Great.
Yeah, look forward to the next 20 minutes of bullshit.
You know what I should do? You know what I should do? Like Greg No Gougai from this point on, I should just, when I listen to the episodes of the podcast, I should compile a list of my complaints. And then Greg No Gougai should just be me coming on and talking about everything that I disagree with.
I won't take that personally.
We can call it Greg No Bitch.
If you want to make that, I will record it. And then maybe put it on a podcast. No, Greg, thanks for coming on. I know you're yelling at your computer a lot when we don't know things. We can't have the encyclopedic knowledge you have, Greg. It's impossible.
It is awesome. You entertain me so much. Many hours of laughing, dude. When he did, what did he do? Was it, dude? There's something a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he did some impression, and you guys got on some thread, something that was way off, and
probably
I was in the middle of cutting lettuce for a salad. And he got me so bad that I almost chopped off my index finger while cutting. I just bam down, and I was laughing. And I was like, "Oh my god, I almost just cut off my finger because of the dude."
I'm glad you're enjoying it, Greg. I always enjoy seeing your tweets for the show. Okay, so why don't we get into the next segment, Greg?
All right.
Okay. This is the manga recap for chapter 761, The Op Fruit. And on this manga recap, we have a very special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm sorry? Oh, Zach. Jeez, it's been so long. Zach, I was entranced by the sexiness of your voice. I'm sorry. It's been such a long time.
No one believes that.
Hello, my name is Greg, and I like One Piece. I'm happy to be on.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, everybody. It's me. Yeah, thank you. We're recording, and I'm here live in the flesh on your headphones.
That's how that works. Ed, what's going on the front page here?
Well, Zach, Jinbei is still reading the newspaper, but it's not that article. It's this one. There has been a mob of sea beasts rampaging in a port town, and he's looking at the newspaper all very concerned.
In a port town or a pork town? Because it's very different.
Well, I don't see any pigs in the picture, so...
Yeah.
All right.
There might be one in there somewhere.
And the kitten is still crying, but not really. That's what... Yeah.
That's also true.
So and that's kind of heartbreaking, right?
Well, I mean,
because
it's been heartbreaking.
He has to break this news to him that, like, oh, the sea beasts have probably ravaged your village.
Isn't she one of the sea beasts, though?
Probably separated.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think is the undercurrent here? Okay.
Is that a reference to the subtitle on that newspaper?
Well,
the subheader.
Yeah.
The Mystery Ruins.
That's
what's up with that?
That's literally a subtext.
Dun dun dun. You know what's cool about this is in the English version, you're getting to see this without all of the text in front of it. So actually reading the English version, this is the first time I'm seeing it unobscured.
Okay, so let's get your up to the minute opinions here as they come to you.
There's a reel going in my head. No, it's looking, I don't know. This will probably be something that comes down the line in an arc, perhaps, explored. Obviously, could be something. It looks similar to things that we've seen in, what is it, Bartigo? Is that where it is? The land of the white sand or something?
Yeah. It's funny, like, to me, this is entirely based on the kind of sketchiness of the drawing. It almost makes me think of the the one fabled illustration that we have of Raftel from years and years and years ago, where it just kind of looks like a bunch of scratchy buildings. I don't really know what else to make of it. Obviously, I don't think it's Raftel, but...
and what could that even be concerning?
Yeah.
It definitely, I think one thing we can all agree on is it looks Shandian in design, at least reminiscent of Shandian. So
yeah.
I
A
agree.
little bit.
Yeah.
And with the sea beasts, I mean, have we been? Are we in agreement that maybe there's a Kaido undercurrent here? Or was I the only one?
Could be. Yeah.
You know, beasts. It's a yeah.
Maybe I'm like drawing too much, from the correlation of Kaido, must be beast related, therefore one means the other. But I mean, he is somewhat relevant in what we've been talking about, so it's possible.
Sure.
I don't know. That's assuming, things coalesce somewhat.
Yeah.
All right. I guess any other thoughts, or that sounds like we're good to go, Ed.
Yep.
I love Jinbei's Muppet face.
All his faces are Muppet faces, although that one definitely is more.
In the live action stage show of One Piece, he should be like a Muppet.
I think he was. Well, he wasn't quite a Muppet, but he was in a costume. It was like some guy in the.
Yeah.
That was
Is that in OPPJapan, Zach?
briefly, right? We might just have an image of that. I don't know if it's like in the movie, but we did see.
I think we've got the blown up one. They've got the blown up, like it's a blow up Jinbei.
That definitely exists.
Jinbei doll.
That's what we need. We need a blow up Jinbei jaw. Hi, Ed. Go ahead.
Okay. So in Primula, a town to the northwest of Dressrosa, Marines are defending the city, and there's a sort of a grunt Marine asking if they have any tranquilizers left, because the animals are hurting themselves. They're running into the wall trying to escape the island, and there's an elephant just covered in blood, headbutting the wall. Really disturbing, actually.
Yeah, we go from one animal thing to the next.
Yeah. But then the Marines spy some pirates who have loaded a bunch of treasure onto like a cart of some kind. And
Hey, I'm sorry, this guy is the funniest looking anything. Like Mr. Stereotype, but with like a giant head and a small body.
he's Snidely Whiplash.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he really is.
Look at that mustache.
It's like the
He's
little
a knockoff
teeny,
version.
the little teeny tiny white beard. It's like he's only been growing that mustache for
like a week.
a week exactly.
The pirate shit stash.
That's Pirate Shit Stash. That's, yeah. Definitely.
That's what his name is.
Better than being Parchemi Penis Face.
Yeah, I've learned that is true, yes.
But the Marine informs Vice Admiral Maynard that Sabo and Isho have fought to a draw, and Maynard is very surprised by this because he's a headquarters admiral. They're the greatest fighting force in the Navy, and we see him sort of flash back to talking to Fujitora, and him saying, "Does the world government think itself to be God?" And he sort of thinks to himself, "Something's fishy. Something's going on here." But yeah,
Yeah, really?
Think.
yeah. He just want to tell his men that. So just for now, we'll deal with the pirates later. Just suppress the rioting and chaos, which they don't seem to be very successful at doing, because the next few panels are just death and destruction.
Well, they're
crying
Marines. They're random Marines, and we know that they're incompetent at everything they try and do.
and there's crying children and dead parents. So
So that's
that's a heartbreaking scene. I mean,
Yeah.
though
is.
we
And
did
that's-
gloss over it.
There's actually, in what's very sad about this is that there's really no confirmation whatsoever in that last panel that any of those people are alive. Not even any eyes open or half open, because usually what Oda does is he tries to pull things, make them a little bit happy, and have like a eye half open or someone twitching or something like that, or going ugh. But there's no indication of that.
this is Nami's origin story, actually.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
This is quite sad.
Next
Now,
page.
I may be forgetting something. I probably am forgetting something entirely. But have we seen Capman Maynard recently, or is this the first time that he's popped back up since the Coliseum?
No, we've seen him several
he's
times.
been around.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That's okay.
He gets around.
He hasn't been part of. If he's not part of the dialogue, and I'm writing his name in the script, then I just goes in one ear, not the other. So
It's understandable. Anyway, we zoom in toward the palace, and what I assume in the anime will be a 20-minute scene zooming into the palace. No, they've been okay.
Yeah, the anime has been better lately.
Okay, as long as it's not like Enies Lobby at the point we get here. So we see Luffy is not in a great situation. As you may recall, he was tied up, and now he's being attacked by two of Doflamingo's puppets, one of them being another Doflamingo, and the other being Bellamy. He tries to untie himself, get out. But as we know, Luffy is incapable of doing that. So he grunts, and
he's so angry he blows steam out of his nose.
And while his teeth are gritted, correct me if I'm wrong, Steven.
That's correct.
He does a. I don't think we've seen. Have we seen this move? I don't think so.
No, we have not.
Yeah.
It's the baby temper tantrum.
It's the baby. Wow, that's accurate. I think I did this move a lot as a kid. It's to my sister mostly. It's the octopus stamp. The get away from me. But he uses armament hockey. It looks like on his feet, which is how that's able to work without cutting up his precious sandals. And he kicks them. He kicks himself away. It looks like more than anything. And he somersaults back in what looks pretty cool, kind of reminiscent of the Fishman Island fight where he had his hands tied behind his back. So yes, this has happened twice since the time skip. For those keeping count,
it's his one weakness:
being tied up or stuck in a building. Anyway, so he's like, that was close. But just as he thought he got away, here comes the puppet again, explaining that your puny little mind cannot fathom what is going on here. And we go to the next page.
Well, it's nice how it ends there. You know, your minds cannot fathom it. How much Geico will save you on car insurance? It says on this page. Just a couple things here.
Yeah, sure.
Listening to the podcasts in the past, and by past I mean like last week, this Black Knight attack that where Doflamingo makes his clone, kind of cool is that this is probably total coincidence, but you know that there's that chapter back when we saw King Riku's flashback to what happened that fateful night in Dressrosa.
Right.
And Doflamingo is called, what is it, like a hero in waiting, I think. Machibusegu Hero or something like that. And it's kind of cool that like his double is the Black Knight, or, you know, Buraku Naito.
Like the Dark Knight?
So, like a Dark Knight, yeah. So it's kind of like that's the hero, this like dark hero, this like anti-hero, not even anti-hero, just like a villain.
So Doflamingo would be a huge Batman fan.
Oh, I think he'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if Bruce Wayne killed his father.
Well, at the same time, though, he calls himself the Joker, so I think he relates more to the villains than the heroes in that. Yeah.
Did I also explain? I forget if I did mention this when we covered that move. That you know, it's also a reference to the Kagemusha, which is like a body double or a shadow warrior is what they call them. That's what the Kurosawa movie is about.
I didn't know there's a Kurosawa movie.
So yeah,
I remember you brought that up, and also it works nice with the Ito being Naito in Japanese. That's cool. I like this in Japanese gum because he's so gritted. He really doesn't get that gum out. He's so ticked off, but. And then octopus stamp. Steven, do you get this octopus stamp? I don't know. I don't get why it's octopus.
Well, it looks like an octopus.
Well, it's
count
because. Well, let's see.
1, 2, 3,
like maybe 5.
Maybe it should be a split
and then his hands.
then.
Yeah.
Are those 6?
Well, only have 7, unless he counts his. No, he can't count his head because that's the head. No. I don't get what's going on.
I don't think it's supposed to be literal. I think it's just, you know, he's like flailing out as if he's got 8 limbs, basically.
Yeah,
I totally expect Oda. I think Oda dropped the ball on that one.
They should fire him for that blunder.
Well, anyways, let's continue. Let's find out what Doflamingo is taunting him that his mind cannot fathom. And it turns out that what he's referring to is what humans would do to a fallen celestial dragon. He's hinting at some nasty stuff that probably happened to him post leaving Marijoa. And he stomps. This is almost like an Arlong callback here. He stomps the ground so hard that Luffy just crashes through the roof of the building and straight through to the next floor. Looks very painful. And Doflamingo's double and Bellamy both jump down through the hole and land next to him. and he starts to speechify some more. All humans are vicious by nature, and Luffy's like, "What are you talking about?" But we go back up to the top of the roof where Law is with the actual Doflamingo, and then the I don't know, I guess like the Play-Doh cut-up version of Treble there, sliced
Good way to describe it. Yeah.
into midsections. And Law's, he's bleeding, and Doflamingo says, "All right, we're going to get these executions going. We'll start with you, Law." And Treble laughs at that. But Law says, "No, something is not right. Something does not add up here." And he goes over the background info. "You're a former celestial dragon who fell from the grace of Marijoa. So how have you been doing these things? Just this morning, he got CP0 into action. Hi, but you never thought that was going to pop back up into this arc because it's been, like 18 months?
I was talking about this with Greg before we recorded, but I mean, It's been like a year and a half, and it's been one day in the One Piece world.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Busy day.
Yeah, it's been a crazy day. Keep going.
And Law says, "Oh, you want to know my backstory before I kill you? Well, certainly I can indulge you."
Just kill him. I have a gun in my room. We'll just go and we'll do it together. It'll be fun. Anyway, sorry.
It's famous last words.
Yeah.
But then he drops a bombshell here. He says, "The reason that I am able to use this power is because I know all about a crucial treasure that exists within Marijoa. And the very fact of its existence would shake the world to its foundations."
It's a double questionation point there, so it's very important, clearly. What do you guys think this is referring to?
It's a Burger King Whopper.
Clearly.
It's got the
Japanese Dark Whopper.
the recipe
news?
for the McRib.
Or maybe Tim Hortons, since Burger King is also buying that. It's definitely something Burger King related. That's all we've determined for sure.
Maybe it's like a poneglyph related thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think some people are thinking in terms of One Piece, but I don't know necessarily.
Ancient weapon.
Yeah, if we go back to the Japanese, the original, what is it, Stephen? I think it's like Kokuho or something. What is it?
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
Kokuho.
Like a national treasure, basically.
Yeah. So,
It's probably something related to the history of the world, especially. I mean, I want to correct me if I'm wrong, but they're saying it's within Marijoa, so it's on Marijoa, or like geographically.
Yeah, because
Go on,
They-
someone. Yeah.
because he says it's a very important national treasure. So you would assume, I don't know, I guess I could go look up the original Japanese, but the
Well, Nicolas Cage won't be involved as long as that's
No.
the case. Okay, good.
but John Voight might.
Okay.
Yeah, it does say it is a national treasure. It also is within Marijoa. So whatever it is, it's been hidden from public view. Obviously, only the celestial dragons, or perhaps even only like a very small echelon of them, are aware of this. And whatever it is, it's bad news to the rest of the world, and it's bad news if that gets out for the celestial dragons.
Well, think about how much the government has let him get away with. That makes me think it's got to be something huge and something they have no control over what he does with it. I mean, couldn't they have just killed him, presumably, to stop him from spreading this information?
Well, I mean,
so simple.
Well, that kind of goes on to the next page, I think.
Okay.
If you consider that, what it would be, why it would shake, the world to, it has to be something that's so simple to understand that anyone, even a commoner, could see it and understand it. And so, I don't necessarily agree that it would be a poneglyph as the kind of poneglyphs that we've seen thus far. That is to say, and basically dead language that one person speaks, maybe, or understands at least. And I was wondering if it could possibly be a poneglyph description, or a inscription rather, where it's not text per se, but it's actually a visual depiction of something that occurred in the world. And if I recall correctly, the poneglyphs, aren't they like indestructible? Am I making that up? Aren't they made of something that's like we've tried like destroying them or beating them?
They talked about that in the Skype, I think.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Okay. So yeah, that's probably why they have to hold on to it, is because they can't destroy it. But if people see it, then they would understand perhaps what happened in that time frame.
You would also assume if it's something that would shock the rest of the world, that their fear is that it would kind of play into perhaps the sentiment behind the revolutionaries, because what that is kind of the force that the rest of the world represents in opposition to the powers that be, because that's the thing that is sort of organized resistance to the way of the world as it currently stands. So that's, I imagine, what they're afraid of inflaming.
It's crazy to think Robin is kind of the only key to the... Anyway, Greg, you could continue on the next page.
Sure. So we've got a flashback here of what I'm assuming is Doflamingo. Actually, just one panel, kind of thinking back on a scene. And it's a little bit difficult to express in the English text, but these guys there's a very definitive tone of voice being used in the scene for the kill Doflamingo, we're going to kill the boy. And these soldiers going from... Do you guys recognize these soldiers?
They have cone heads.
They have cone heads. Where have you seen that? In Shabondi Shoto, their Shabondi Archipelago. When what's his name? Charlos and Roswald, they were attended by soldiers, I guess personal guard, that looked exactly like this. They're the guys that Zoro and Sanji, and then ultimately Rayleigh took out in the human auction. So they are specifically, assigned to protect the celestial dragons. And the kind of the kill Doflamingo voice is in a very celestial dragon-y-ish type of voice. Yeah, I don't know how to describe that, but it's very haughty-taughty. Yeah. So, anyway, we've got Doflamingo then going on with his exposition, saying he was the worst, and he had a sable up his sleeve. I'm sorry, an ace up his sleeve.
What does this mean, that Ace was actually working for Doflamingo?
Once the Celestial Dragons realized what was up, they couldn't kill him, and they for some reason, grew cooperative. And he continues, that was the day, years ago, when he had the Op fruit fall into his grasp, and that's when he was going to use that to his advantage, to that specific treasure, to seize true power. And we're guessing that's exactly what he wants now, is revenge and power. So kind of your typical villain, but he's a little bit more complex than that, because we find out there's something special about the Op fruit. They just called the ultimate devil fruit for a reason, as law kind of tells us now. It can give the gift of eternal life, the immortality operation. But in order to do that, of course, immortality will cost a life. And Doflamingo continues, yes, that's right. And we find out that Doflamingo wanted that fruit, and Law got it.
I forgot about the personality switching stuff too, which he mentions offhand. I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah, and you know what's kind of cool about that is I never thought what that could do. You know, what potential that has if it was abused, if it fell into the wrong hands.
Well, I don't know why he hasn't done it to Doflamingo yet. I feel like that would be. Guess the story would be over too quickly.
He's been pretty weak for a while.
That's also true. That's also true. That might be like something you need a lot of your strength for. He seems to be obsessed with stamina, as concerned with this fruit.
Well, given that all these things that we have seen that the fruit can do, it's got pretty insane powers. So I think it kind of makes sense from a storytelling perspective that Oda kind of wants to make it clear that like he doesn't really want to use these as like a Deus Ex Machina type solution, because then immediately everyone just says, well, why didn't Law do this? Why didn't you do that? So, you kind of have to give some reasoning as to why, he can't use these really amazing powers to just instantly, suck any power away from the enemies. So,
well, he was in handcuffs.
The only thing I wish that Oda did, as a little bit of a hint as to what was coming down the line, is after that scene, that amazing scene back in Punk Hazard, where he cuts Punk Hazard in half.
Yeah.
I wish that we had a scene of him just like on the ground, like just like completely exhausted. Then I would have been like, oh, okay, all right, this doesn't feel a little bit tagged on, but it feels, because this entire arc has been about stamina. And the first time I think he brings it up is back when on the bridge to Greenbit. Yeah. So something before that would have been nice, but oh well. What can you do?
I think it kind of makes sense that was the first time he brought it up, because he's preparing for a big fight with Doflamingo. So he's like, okay, I gotta conserve, because I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and I need to be on the top of my game. All right, did you have more in this page though, right? Or
no, we're done.
No. I just want to make a couple quick notes. I do really love a lot of the panels here. They look really nice, but we've been noting that Doflamingo sunglasses don't have any actual the earpiece, the part that actually holds it up, and that is super noticeable in a few panels on this.
They're detachable. He's going for the Morpheus look.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I think he. Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
That doesn't require suspension of disbelief here.
No, everything else makes sense. This in particular, I can't stand for it.
They're being held up by strings.
Ooh, that is a great SBS answer.
Yeah.
And farts. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So Doflamingo comes after Law, and he's sort of, smacking at him while sort of running down this list. Diamante's sword, Laoji's martial arts, Gladius's artillery. We taught you everything you know. And Law retorts, the reason that he is alive now is because of Korra, and that he is grateful that he has the power to take them all down. We sort of start the flashback here.
It happens. Yay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Yep. So Diamante and Treble are there, and they're sort of talking to the little kid Law and saying, "Are you serious? You can't kill a man with spirit alone, but I have bombs," he says. But they warn him not to mess with pirates, and we see that this is in the North Blue 16 years ago, and
So that means we have 3 years until the event, the incident.
Yes.
As Lost fans may be familiar with.
God. Lost. Anyway, that made me sad there for a second.
Sorry, go ahead. That season. Anyway, go ahead.
Law was looking for the captain, and they're sort of like, the captain doesn't hang around with kids like you. And, so Trent they're talking to him about, he knows the fact that he's going to die. He's like, so you're going to die. When are you going to die? He says 3 years and 2 months.
That's really specific.
Yeah.
I guess if you're going to die, you...
Diamante's like, did a doctor tell you that? And
why does he sound like that?
I don't know. He's literally looking down his nose at Law.
That's true.
Yeah, he's pulling down the shades.
Yeah. So apparently his parents were doctors. They ran a clinic before they died, and he became an orphan. And he was able to read his own medical charts. And he's like, hey, smart kid. So he wants to spend the next 3 years killing as many people as he can, and just busting the place up. The place being the world.
Thank you.
And he's like, this kid's crazy. Well, we do take kids, but we've had like 100, and they mostly died. They run away.
That's also kind of weird, Stephen.
So before we go to the next page, first of all, Greg, you were saying something about the name of this town. We were talking.
I was originally going to write a column about it, and then I said, something else I want to write about. But yeah, I think we had some interesting ideas going back and forth here, and between the two of us, I think we've hit on something. But Spider Miles, the name of this port town. I was wondering if it's perhaps an allusion to the new Spider-Man, who is I don't know if any listeners are familiar, but Miles Morales. So perhaps Spider Miles. For Spider Miles Morales, and then
that's the guy. That's like the brown Spider-Man that they unveiled. What was it, like 5 years ago or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a big new thing. I think it was right around the time that Obama got elected. So it was like this. Oh, now everyone's all politically correct. Rah, rah, rah. But it was an interesting idea for them.
And then, Stephen, what idea did you have behind this? 'Cause that was cool too. Like
I almost thought, like, when I first saw the name, like, in Japanese it's all phonetic, so it's obviously Spider Mairus, but it almost made me, like, when I saw that kind of silhouette of the town in this top panel where you can see, it's kind of hilly and there's lots of forests, but then there's also these kind of factories. You see all these smokestacks over the back. It almost made me think, like, I wonder if he was, like, what if he meant like Spider Mills or something like that, because it just kind of has a look. It sounds like a sort of cool, typical, like, sort of English language name, like an industrial town, Spider Mills. We don't know for sure, but it kind of has it's got a bit of a European vibe with all of the kind of 2-story buildings with the sloped roofs, but then there's also just kind of a little bit of an industrial type vibe to it, as we'll see later. They're kind of hanging out in a factory type place, this garbage dump that they're
Do you think there's any coincidence that we have a port town here and we had a port town in the cover story, or am I drawing?
I mean, it's a world of oceans. Almost everything's a port town.
That's
I
true.
think so.
Yeah. I felt like I had to address that. Yeah.
Look at the panel of law on the right side of the page in the middle. Look at how well drawn that is. I like that. Anyway.
Yeah, that's like some alabaster artwork going on right there. The thickness of the lines and the quality.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. We'll talk a little bit more about the fact that we're going into a flashback at the end. It's probably the time to do that. Okay, continue.
Okay.
Also, just one more thing, guys. Because he's huge. What on earth is Treble eating? Is that French bread with a fork?
Looks like a sausage, maybe.
Looks like a sausage.
It looks like a sausage. That's what I thought. But, like, he's huge. So that would have to be an enormous sausage.
Well, they have those. I don't know how far we should get into this, but
All right.
Did it? Newsflash. What is Treble eating?
sausage.
Day 3.
Yeah. On the next page, what was Diamante was just talking about how all the kids basically give up and run away, but not these ones. These are the exceptions. We see Buffalo and Baby 5 as children.
Aww.
And they're adorable.
Well, there's some.
Yeah.
They're really excited because Korra is coming back. Ooh, the elusive Corazon. Maybe we'll finally get a view of him. And someone, a figure in a very Doflamingo-esque cape comes through the door,
And he got the feathers too.
Black feathers.
Yeah.
and promptly slips on his ass and just falls down right next to Law. A great first impression. And
that's a very Oda thing to do.
Yeah. And not to mention just the very Oda-esque thing of when you think you're finally going to get a view of the guy, something happens that prevents you from actually seeing him with a good view. And this is a delight to Buffalo and Baby 5. They think it's hilarious. Buffalo says he just knew that Corazon would fall over, which I guess tells you something about what this guy is like. And Law is looking over, and it's kind of an interesting, that he spends these 2 panels on just this little action here, which I think is kind of underlining that this is like a kind of a momentous, a moment for Law, that this is the first time he's getting to see this guy.
Well, as far as we could tell, too, I mean, it's that kind of in a very different way. From what we could tell, it's kind of that Shanks-Luffy relationship, the mentor-mentee relationship. So, it's important, I think, probably to see this.
Mm-hmm. And suddenly Corazon gets up and he just smacks both of the kids. Again, very timely with all of the child abuse going on in the NFL today. We get Oda's hopping on. No, I'm just kidding. But
I think it does go all NFL on him.
Yeah, he smacks them pretty good, and you see them fall to the ground. and he just keeps walking, doesn't say anything. We get a couple ellipses here, empty speech bubbles, and he sits down in a chair. And Baby Five, with her cheek all bruised, brings over some nice hot tea for him.
Very hot tea.
Very hot. Very hot. Drink up.
She does say it's very hot. So
yeah, and he takes a slurp and then immediately spits it all. That must have been a really huge sip, because look at how much liquid he is shooting out of his mouth.
Spit take.
Yeah,
and
quite a spit take.
His lips are like huge.
I think that may be the burning.
Okay,
from the liquid.
Yeah, they're really, really big. I was looking at that close.
Yeah.
Greg, you can finish this up.
All right. So we go to the last page, and Corazon, they ask him if he finished up his job, and they want him to hand over his cash. I was hoping we'd get to see a little bit of Treble's feet, just to see if they have those chains on them or not, but I guess we're not so lucky. So going back to Law, he says, interesting enough, Corazon hasn't said anything, but he walks over to him and he, looks like he pats him on the head. And they're talking in the background. I assume that's Diamante. And you said your name was Law, right? He said, well, this guy here, he's another officer. And he's Corazon, da-da-da. But he's a total klutz. But thanks to his heritage, he's pretty tough. And he's Captain Doffy's little brother. And they said, he suffered a really bad shock in the past. So he can't talk no more. Oh, yeah. Also, watch out. He hates kids. Bam! And he throws Law out the window, breaking the window, mind you. And then we get the reveal.
Not the window. Sorry, go ahead.
And very, very cool scene here. I like how he did this. I think Steve would probably have some comments on this scene, but he lights up his cigarette, and we get scenes going down vertically. As Law lands in this scrap heap, and she's like, "Oh my God, this guy's probably dead." And then we get Corazon to the left there, who at first glance looks pretty freaking badass.
He looks like Krauser from Detroit Metal City.
Yeah, he's definitely got.
He looks like something out of a PS1 game. I'll give you that.
PS1 game. He's definitely got lots of face makeup going on, something on his lips and on at least one eye.
It's a mix between Paul Stanley and the Joker.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, carrying through the kind of theme that he's had with the Doflamingo, the officers seeming to be like rock stars, or at least some of them. And he definitely carries that on. And if you look closely here, it looks cool, but wait a minute. That cigarette that he lit up, the fire seems to be spreading to his cape. And Law gets up, meanwhile, from the scrap heap. He's still alive, somehow, thrown into metal scrap heap. Pretty tough for a kid. What's wrong with this guy? And he's just like, oh, I'm going to kill him. And then, from the top, Corazon fire! So, yeah. Oh, maybe! NBA Jam! But,
I mean, you talked about this panel. It is really cool. I don't think I've seen anything like this ever. I like this kind of style in the
cool how he uses the tone too.
Yeah,
because the tone in the background is only used for I don't know if that's tone, that's beta, I think. Is it's dark for the flashback, obviously, but he to make Corazon stand out, he removes it around him. And
I really love that 3-panel joke on the right page at the bottom. Just you see him get grabbed by the head and then flying out the window.
Yeah.
The
great visual
expression on Law's face is priceless too.
I think it. When someone's very serious, you always take pleasure in kind of when they're shocked or taken. And this is definitely one of those situations. It's like Law is this super serious, angsty, angry little kid, and then he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" So yeah, what did you guys think of this chapter? Greg, you haven't been here in a while, so let's start with you.
Oh man, start with me. Well, I don't know. There's so much that happened in this chapter. I mean, there's so much that you could speculate right from the front page that I mean, we could go on for hours. But I think the big thing is definitely that we got at long last the Corazon reveal, and
I couldn't be happier with how it went down. As you guys mentioned, it's total Oda fashion. Like, oh my god, we're gonna see this guy. He's gonna be so badass. He's gonna look so cool, and he falls on his ass. It's great. Then
Spills his tea and lights himself on fire.
Lights himself on fire.
All within 3 pages. He does one stupid thing per page.
Yeah.
No, actually 2 in the first, and then 1. Go ahead.
Design wise, we've definitely got the heart theme going very strongly with this guy. It's seen in his cap and on his shirt. He kind of seems like the anti Doflamingo. And that might be the robe or the cape, whatever it is, giving that impression. But I was talking about this with Steven as well. But I'm most intrigued by the fact that he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
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 That seems. I get the feeling that Oda's setting us up for something along the line, and I
Maybe
guess
they couldn't afford a new voice actor.
I guess that we're supposed to kind of take it, perhaps a hint that this guy had the op fruit, and that will somehow tie in with Law. I don't know, but I get the feeling that we're being set up for a big bait and switch, or a big kind of like rattlesnake in the mailbox kind of event, where like what this person or that person was that or something like that. I get that feeling that we're being set up for something, especially since he doesn't talk. So.
Yeah, and you do wonder. I mean, obviously, I think the first thing that pops into mind is that he suffered a real bad shock in the past. You think, okay, well, that's probably a reference to him seeing Doflamingo kill their father.
It's a safe bet, I think.
If that's true, then like, what does it say that he's working with him now?
Yeah.
Like, is it some kind of is there something more to the way that it played out, or is it some kind of really weird twisted thing where he's like hanging around because he wants the chance to kill Doflamingo, or something? There's just so many ways that this could go.
Yeah.
It's very rich with possibility.
If he hates kids, I'm wondering if it's because of what they were subjected to as children. Because Doflamingo even says that we had a hard time. And it's not like him to say like, oh poor me, and have a pity party for himself. But yeah, even he's like, you don't know what kids, what people will do to a fallen celestial dragon. So.
Yeah, and I think there's also there's a lot of just really, aside from the kind of the mysteries and the possibilities, I think there's just a lot of very rich kind of story symbolism and parallels. I think we mentioned a few pages back about there was kind of a parallel between the Luffy and Shanks thing. And I also noticed that when Doflamingo, in the present day, when Doflamingo was talking to Law about the fruit and talking about how you betrayed us by gaining these powers, and I noticed, for one thing, that the wording, I kind of made the wording as ambiguous as possible, because we don't actually know, if Doflamingo got the fruit and then ate it, or was hoping to use it in some way, and then Law ate it, or if did
he get it? Did Korra have it in the first place?
Right.
And Korra died. So.
Maybe there's something to do with the immortality angle there, but just an interesting parallel in that Luffy ate the rubber fruit, the gum fruit, from Shanks basically when he wasn't supposed to, and just like a parallel of how that played out in the reactions from the benefactor, the older guy, very very different, I imagine, between Shanks and Doflamingo, and just lots of really good stuff.
You just triggered something in my mind. Stop me here if I sound crazy, but
Stop.
So we have an issue right now here where Law is going to die in 3 years, 2 months. Mm-hmm. We know Corazon dies 13 years ago. This takes place 16 years ago. So 3 years and 2 months is around the time of the incident. If Corazon has the op fruit, then couldn't he give his life to save Law's life?
Yeah.
It is possible.
Presumably.
No, that's yeah.
All right.
something in these next 6 years will change. I mean, it looks like they're gathering crew members right now, right?
Yeah.
And in 6 years' time, they will have enough power to take down a kingdom, essentially, and raids, because even by that time they were already out on the sea, attacking the gathering funds, right? The tribute ships, right?
Yeah.
They're already attacking them. Laws, as you said, his timeline is going to end in 3.5 years. So, which is right up until about that 13 years ago. So something is going to happen, something quite big, and I don't know how Oda's going to handle it either, because we've got to figure out what happened to Doflamingo and Corazon as children as well, right?
Well, the way I was thinking that it could work, and tell me if you wouldn't, I should stop prefacing these things. I was thinking you have the Law flashback, and Law is attacking Doflamingo. You come back to the present day, Doflamingo attacks Law back, and then you have his flashback. I mean, if you're going to do it, that's a double back-to-back.
I think the fans would eat Oda alive, myself included.
Yeah. But there's just so much, clearly, that needs to happen.
He's going to do it, and he has done flashbacks within flashbacks. So
I don't think he's going to do a flashback within a flashback. I think he's going to do the Law flashback, come back, and then you get from Doflamingo's side. I mean, obviously,
no, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so.
That's my crackpot theory. Then
I could see within this flashback, whenever we see the big incident in 3 years' time, that maybe if there's a confrontation between Doflamingo and Corazon, that's when he speaks, and then he'll say this is what you did, blah blah blah, and then that's how we can see what happened in their childhood.
Right. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
Oh, I also like how seeing Law here, we can kind of place now finally that number of people that care about this, me, that picture of the supernovas when they were kids.
Yes.
We can place that as happening before this. Because it looked like he was in a lab coat or an operation coat, and he had a frog with him, and he looked well to do. And here he's obviously very, very scrappy looking. Yeah. So it seems he got that from his parents' clinic, and that's where he was being trained to be a doctor from a very, very young age. Again, we've got this land with the factories steaming. I mean, very, very clear here. There's a lot of production going on, and the smoke is going out. Wondering, I think we brought this up. I brought this up with you, Stephen, as well. Is that the pollution? Does that have anything to do with the White Lands? Is that what they were called?
The White Town, yeah.
White Town, yeah, White Town. Is there any effect on that? Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird too. And when did that happen? I'm guessing a little before this.
Yeah, before he met up with him.
Right, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So we also have two other mysteries. I don't know if not really mysteries, but we talked a little bit about the Op fruit. Is there anything else to talk about with the Mary Joey? I thought there was one more thing, but I think we actually covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, are there any other thoughts on the chapter generally, or where things are going?
I'd love to know who Treble's based on. I have no clue who Treble's modeled after.
You think it's a rocker also?
I think there's a good chance that it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, those glasses look English. The ones that he has I don't know.
In the flashback.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh.
It looks like
more glasses without frames on the sides.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. He looks a little... No, but the thing is, in the present, he doesn't look like any of the people I'm thinking of. I don't know. It's a tough question. All right. Any other thoughts besides...
Well, it's a good chapter to leave off for an extra week on, if you want to keep the fans buzzing with theories and ideas.
Next week, what we're going to be doing, you guys voted for it. We're going to have a Sabo episode, so we're going to talk all about Sabo. You guys asked for it, so we're doing it. So check that out. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the manga recap, though. Greg, big thanks.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I'll plug my article.
Yes.
On OnePiece.com. My next article. Not next article. Wow. Sometime next month. sometime next month, I'll be talking about this chapter, but it's already written, and I'll be talking about something that we haven't discussed yet. Something fresh. So
Cool.
And
can look
now,
forward
of
to
course, people can actually read it for themselves in English.
yeah, without I'm sure many probably a lot less funny, probably more entertaining in the Google Translate version, I'm sure.
I think, as I told you, there were more sexual references for some reason in Google Translate. Somehow everything is disgusting in that. So yeah, check that out. one-piece.com. You click the little star, then you find Greg's face, and you click that, and you'll find it. It's basically what you do. That's how you find it. We also put links up. We'll put a link up in the description. We put links up on Twitter and stuff all the time when new articles come out and stuff. Greg, thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are, and congrats on all the awesome stuff you've been up to.
Seriously, I know you guys are busy, so thanks for making this time. This was super fun for me. It's great to talk through it and get a lot of theories together.
Yeah, of course. So. Thank you.
All right.
Today's episode of the One Piece Podcast is sponsored by Kolektakon. Check them out at kolektakon.com/One Piece. Again, that is KOLEKTAKON. So there's some cool stuff here. I'm with Ed and Steve. Hey, guys.
Hey.
And we're here to talk about toys, because we are nerds, and we like talking about toys. What cool figures from Kolektakon look good to you?
Well, I think in the spirit of the Toonami Recap for this week, we have transformed Rob Lucci, and he is in stock, so you can order him now.
Nice. I didn't even know that was in stock. They go in and out, so you got to check kolektakon.com/One Piece. Steve.
Making reference to the Toonami Recap as well, at least to what Zach was talking about. You want to feel sad? You want to feel a little happy? Well, you should get the excellent model Portrait of Pirates, One Piece Limited, CBEX Nico Robin. That's the Doreshishi child version.
Yeah, that is coming soon in Toonami.
It's up for pre-order, yeah.
And it's also a limited edition.
But there's so many great new POPs or re-releases coming out here. Whitebeard is back, and he's only $89.95. $89.95.
That's a pretty damn good price.
For big-ass Whitebeard.
Yeah. And it might sound like a lot, but the Frankie is probably the coolest figure. We discussed this last week, but it needs emphasizing. That's $159.95, which is still like $30, $20 off the normal price. Definitely pick that up. But if we're going along themes that we've talked about in this episode, in the anime we talked a little bit about Fujitora. That's available for pre-order now at $98.95. We also talked, Luffy was actually in this chapter. He's not going to probably be in a chapter for a little while. You could pick him up. There's a brand new one out for $74.95.
And that's the posable one.
Yes. I also want to mention, since we've gone off topic several times, we might as well do it here as well. You could also get other series on Kolektakon.com. They have Space Dandy figures, for example, if you want to celebrate the end of that series. I know I hear people asking about Space Dandy figures all the time, and you guessed it, you could get that at Kolektakon.com/Space Dandy. Right now they have for pre-order Honey and Dandy. But no, that's, I got to promote a series I love there too. But yeah, go to Kolektakon.com/One Piece for all your One Piece merchandise. And any other final thoughts on that, guys? They do have, they sold out of this, but they do have Blackbeard, and I think he's with the correct nose and not the crazy whatever nose from the
They redid his face and stuff. Anything I could say? Well, I know what some of you are thinking, like, well, gee whiz, Zach, Ed, and Steve, I buy POPs all the time. I don't need to go to no Kolektakon.
Is this person Southern?
But listen, if you go to Kolektakon.com, you'll get POPs for an excellent low price that no conventions can compete with.
Like, if you saw that Frankie and you said you saw it at a convention for under $200, I'd slap you in the face and call you a liar.
Ed will do that to you at a convention.
Yeah, and if you said you saw that Whitebeard for if you saw that Whitebeard for like $110, I'd shank you. Because you are wrong.
Well, no, it's $89.95. But
No,
yeah,
I'm
even
saying,
at a convention.
I'm just saying, like,
And
I
also, at
don't
conventions,
think
you
that
have to-
Whitebeard would be any.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see that Whitebeard being any less than $150 at a convention.
No, yeah, I probably.
And you always have to worry
200
about, and you really have to worry about counterfeits at conventions. And this happened to
That happened to us.
Zach and I years ago. Yeah,
But hey, Kolektakon, you could trust these guys.
indeed.
They know what they're doing. Also, they're official.
Just one last thing for the following are in limited supply, so if you're going to get them, you should get them soon. Frankie, Ace, Hancock, the Darashishi Robin. The rest of the limited editions are sold out, as you may assume. And as we've learned, Japan, when they say limited, they mean limited. So check those out sooner rather than later. I think we're good to go into the episode, guys. Ready?
All right. This is the anime recap for episode 662. Two great rivals meet each other, Straw Hat and Heavenly Demon. One of the longer episode titles this week.
They're always long.
Actually, the Toonami episode title was quite short this week, so that's what I'm comparing it to.
Probably because not much happened.
See, I agree with Steve in this part.
In the Toonami or the anime?
In the anime, not much happened.
No, you see, I disagree.
I was talking about the Toonami episode.
Yeah, the Toonami
okay.
episode. Nothing. Well, we'll get to the Toonami after we do this.
Yeah.
This is actually, just to note, Chris Beveridge has been on the fandom post, for those who read his column. He actually, watches each episode of One Piece and does a full review of every episode. And I don't remember the last time an episode's gotten, above a B, so a B plus. So an A minus, A plus. This episode actually got an A minus from him, which is, I think, the first time I've seen that in a long time. So it's interesting to see, and he's, he doesn't read the manga, so it's a fresh perspective. So I think that's important to keep in mind, since the three of us, I think it's pretty clear.
Fundamentally
have read the manga.
different perspective. Yeah.
Yes. So why don't we get started? Previously on One Piece, Law was shot repeatedly by Doflamingo. Does not look pleasant.
When I say it was a slow-paced episode, there was a lot of tense moments where they just sort of hold the action and they play eerie music in the background. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that there was about 15 minutes of content in this episode. And it was still pretty good, though.
I don't know. I completely disagree with that. We can talk about that at the end.
Okay.
So anyway, it's still an anime episode, so it's not going to be like one thing after. It's not like an episode of a show that's not based off of manga. But anyway, we'll get into that at the end. So we have the reverberations from those gunshots ringing out through the town and through the transponder signal, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, what just happened?" Doflamingo calms everyone and said, "Look, this is Law. He's a warlord. He's behind all the false reports from this morning. Don't worry." And then this is the only.
You can do pretty much anything when you're the king. I mean, you can get, if the people already love you, you can pretty much say whatever you want.
There were only two moments where I thought there was like unnecessary padding, and this is one of them. We get an unnecessary flashback of people hearing the news initially. I guess, to remind people who watch week to week, it did happen months and months and months ago. So, all right, the CP0 stuff and whatever. Anyway, Luffy's not happy about this, and Doflamingo says, "Look, this is my business. Law was my subordinate. Butt out. This isn't up to you." Meanwhile, Zoro and Kinemon head straight toward Doflamingo.
But look who's falling out the sky there.
You mean
It's Fujitora.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he comes down. We never get the full Zoro and Fujitora fight, which I think would have been a good thing, but because I think Zoro probably would have lost.
Yeah,
And
I don't think
he could use to lose right now. He could stand to lose right now a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think so. Zoro, the thing is, yeah,
I think Ed's going off of what we know now.
and now what we know now as an anime fan.
Well, by now I mean the manga, and Zoro could use some humbling.
The thing
This is
go ahead.
My perspective on this is entirely defined by the fact that I read the manga.
The thing is, Zoro in the first half of the series was beaten every single time he fought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
taking like massive damage.
Not every single time.
a lot of the time.
Well, I mean, I guess like against Ohm, he kind of won pretty easily. That's the one I can think of, though.
I don't know. I think Zoro actually, now that I think about it, has usually struggled with every single battle.
At the very least, yeah.
Yeah,
And he bled a lot.
He always he is. I don't know where he gets all that blood.
yeah. Maybe training with Mihawk was just that, But
I mean, clearly it helped, and I don't think any of us are denying that. Anyway, so Zoro and Fujitora duel. We got new music here, and it sounds like Zoro-based music. I think we've talked about this. We've had a lot of new music in this arc, and I'm really hoping we hear about an album coming out eventually. Some point. Anyway, Zoro falls straight down a hole, which is created by Fujitora's gravity. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I just thought that was also another thing that was stretched out. Like the part where that would have been so much more impactful. He should have sort of drive him straight through to the ground, but they took their time, and it's like, it's slowly building up the thing, and I don't know. It could go either way, but I just thought it was stretched out. And
I was trying to remember if that was in the manga. Like, I know he gets pushed down there, but like if we see him down, like the anime actually shows him down underground struggling, and I don't recall seeing that. It's kind of hard to remember.
I don't think we did, but Ed, you know the term for that. It's implied filler.
But they also do a scene where Doflamingo comes up behind Fujitora.
Oh,
and
that was weird.
it's like nightmare bait right there.
Hey, Fujitora, what's going on?
They do that thing where he whispers in his ear and we can't hear what he says.
Yeah, but the thing is with the One Piece mouth flaps, which are just up, up, up. I can't really. I don't know if you could tell what I'm doing with my mouth right now, but it's like those Muppet.
I assume you're moving your mouth up and down,
up,
opening, closing, opening, and closing.
That's why it was such a big deal.
Motion tweening into the scene.
Yeah.
There's no. The mouth flaps aren't intricate at all, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the whispering looks really ridiculous. It's very still. And I guess it's a budget issue. They're not going to...
Also, it's Doflamingo. I don't think he can make any mouth movement without grinning. This is the worst day of my life.
Anyway, so... Yeah, well, before that even happens, Zoro getting out of the hole was very interesting because he shot like a projectile sword slash that hit Kinemon off guard, and then he jumps out of this hole. Who knows how deep it actually is? And Kinemon tried to help him, and Doflamingo kicks Kinemon straight across the face and the body. And knocks him out of commission. And Luffy tries to help, but there's Sea Prism Stone. Ed, do you want to go through what happens after all the whispering?
Sure. Well, they're off to the palace. Doflamingo has taken law and talks to Fujitora and let's talk this over at the palace. I will hear what you have to say, heavenly demon. And I like being able to hear things like how they're said in Japanese, because Steven gave us the whole lesson on Inuyasha, Tenyasha, and it makes a lot more sense with things that we find out about Doflamingo later on, and just the way that word sort of works. And I'm glad that we had that explanation from Steven back then, because it was in the title of this episode, and it was sort of a plot point in this episode, people calling him that. So.
I also really liked Fujitora's line saying it to the Straw Hats. It's like I'm paying back your kindness with ingratitude.
Ironic, isn't it?
No, but it's I think it kind of goes to show Fujitori's character here. He's not like he's a reluctant participant, I think, in this, and he also understands kind of, I don't want to call it karma, but he understands that normally you'd be repaying kindness with kindness. You don't go and try and kill the people who tried to help you earlier when you were getting scammed by a bunch of assholes. Anyway, you could continue, Ed.
Okay, but then, oh shit, it's Big Mom and the Twirly Bar Pirates. Where they're trying to escape Dressrosa, but Dressrosa is clearly, still in the background. They're sort of hovering or floating offshore. But then a giant ship that says ship.
I liked hearing that in the anime a lot because I was wondering how that was going to work.
This was the highlight of the episode for me.
Definitely, yeah.
Seeing Big Mom's ship. They look so good.
The highlight of the episode for me comes in about a minute. But first, Pikums and Baron Tamago are back. I love those guys. I don't think we got enough of them in Fishman Island, but I feel like they're going to come back quite a bit.
I'm sure we'll see them.
Yeah. But all they really want is Caesar. They're like, let's sink the Straw Hat ship and just take Caesar. And Caesar's like, they're gonna kill me. And Caesar freaking out was my favorite part of the episode.
I stole their money.
He's like, the details aren't important. They're gonna kill me.
Caesar Clown pretty much pulled a Doc Brown.
Yeah, basically. I didn't really think of that. That is actually exactly what happened.
Whose ship is that? Who do you think? The Libyans! No, wait, it's Big Mom. Never mind.
So weird enough.
Wait, it's Big Mom!
So weird enough, Ace has the characteristics of Marty McFly, and Caesar has the characteristics of Doc. So
now we just need to find a Biff.
That's all we need to find, which I guess is Akainu.
Sure.
Yeah, and the gang's together.
Akainu messes up well-known phrases. But no, if I could just make a quote from Back to the Future, this is heavy. This is very heavy.
I love how chaotic this is all done, because you have...
They make Brooke steer the ship. Can Brooke even steer a ship? I don't know, just pray.
No, you can't. I forgot about that part. That is true. It's like Brooke clearly does not know what he's doing. And
he
Chopper,
actually says, just pray.
I love Chopper, Nami, and Momonosuke in the background yelling, "What the fuck?" Basically, on those words, obviously. But what I really love is that while it's going on, everyone who's on the transponder snail is just like, what is going on? And Luffy and Zoro and Kinemon are like running away from Marines as they're on the phone with them. It's I don't know. It's great.
This is also something that I found a little annoying. It was like, I don't know. I guess I'm not terribly interested in watching people like react to thing. I mean, there's the whole conceit of the phone conversation and everyone listening to everything at the same time. It's just like, didn't really do it for me.
Well, I like that. This is also the last time, as we learned in this episode, that this whole crew is going to be talking to each other. So
that's true.
So
that
it's
hit
important.
me as I was watching it. I guess I didn't really realize it at the time that I was reading it, but now that we have this, perspective as manga readers, it was kind of like, wow, this is the last time we've seen them speaking to each other for a while.
And think about it this way: what we're reading in the manga now, we're not going to see them for a while.
Yeah, it could be another year.
Yeah, a year at least.
Yeah, probably more.
Spoilers, folks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
I mean, then again, but although
we're not getting into details.
Well, I think we predicted at the time that it was going to be a while before we saw them again, and yeah, it's going to be a while.
I don't know if anyone else noticed Nami keeps smushing Momo's face into her boobs.
Yes.
Yes.
Still weird. Yeah. Still weird.
A little uncomfortable, but he's not going to complain.
At least he's not like swooning every time that happens now. He's just like
flushing it.
Yeah, he just flushes, which is actually a more natural reaction from someone in that situation.
Then give him fucking evil, creepy face.
Hubba, hubba.
So Frankie takes
eating, sleeping, and possibly also ordering room service.
So Frankie takes over the phone call here and notes that they have to lead Mom away from the island as it'll just create more chaos, which no duh there. And Nami says, look, I don't think we should go to Dressrosa. Frankie's right here. She says, I'm not saying it because I'm scared, but look, Doflamingo wants three things. He wants the SAD, he wants Caesar, and he wants Momonosuke. We don't know why they want Momonosuke, which is a very good question still to this day. They also, and so he says, Nami says, look, we have two of these things on the ship. Let's just get the hell out of here, and Doflamingo can't get them. And we'll follow Law's plan, and we'll go to Zo. And Sanji then asks for permission to counterattack against Big Mom. Momonosuke turns back into a dragon, and everyone else runs around. And Luffy's like, go for it. And Sanji says, we will meet you at Zo. Which is a big moment. This is a big moment. The Twirly Brow Pirates officially go on their little adventure that I hope we see eventually. Yeah.
I love the ending of this episode, though. I really, really love the ending of this episode.
Well, before we get to that, Frankie and Luffy declare their intent. Frankie's going to destroy the factory. Luffy's going to get Law, make Rebecca's wish come true somehow, and kick Doflamingo's ass, essentially. And by essentially, I mean actually. So, Ed, you want to go through the end?
Well, back in the Coliseum, we start out...
No spoilers, Ed.
What's that?
Don't give spoilers, because you're a spoiler. Okay.
Back in the Coliseum, we start with a big shot from the top, and we sort of see that everything is sort of wrapping up. When we sort of pan inside, we go inside and we see pants, boots, a face and hair, some goggles and a hat. I think I know who that is.
Walking away.
It's the cat in the hat.
It's the guy from that TV special.
Yeah. Hey, it's that one guy.
That's gotta be Kane.
Look, we all know it's Mr. Cravat, who's back.
I don't know who that is.
He's certainly wearing a cravat.
Did they close up on his cravat?
Did they close up on the cravat? Well, he has a cravat. We will see the cravat in the next episode. I hate to spoil that part for you. For those who know what a cravat is. What do you guys think of this episode?
I've seen Austin Powers.
Joey.
Well, like I said, I thought my favorite part was seeing Big Mom's ship. It looked great in color. And it made me kind of think of one of the interesting things about the anime is one of the things that's great about it is also maybe a kind of bad. I could see people thinking it's kind of a bad quality that we get this confirmation that the front of the ship is actually speaking and moving around and stuff. And it was kind of cool how in the manga we were all kind of asking is it talking? That's crazy. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. And some of that mystery is sort of lost, but it's also kind of nice to occasionally be able to rely on the anime to make things a little clearer like that. I don't know, just a sort of thought I was having about that. And then the other kind of big thing that stands out besides the sort of big moment of everyone declaring what they were going to do was we get to see Zoro fight the Admiral Fujitora a bit, which I can kind of imagine as a anime-only watcher, they see that in the opening credits, and I don't think it's that big of a spoiler to just say it's interesting that that's all you really get of that. When it's sort of promised in the opening like that.
The opening lied about everything. None of that happens. None of that happens.
When do those great outfits come out? That's what I want to know.
Oh. Burn them.
When does Akainu and Kizaru come in?
Oh, those damn outfits. Steve, what did you think of the episode?
I thought this was a great episode. I thought maybe not too much happened, but what did happen was pretty major.
Maybe that's a better representation of how I feel about the episode too.
I thought the whole time I was really enjoying it. I was really getting wrapped up into it. Ending used Overtaken, and I thought it was. I thought that was very appropriate. I think the Big Mom ship was probably the centerpiece of this episode. I it had action, it had suspense. I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was going to end with Luffy yelling, and then it faded to black, and I was like, uh-oh, something's going on, and something did go on.
Yeah, I did
and
not expect that.
I think Toei,
Either.
I guess, because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, is this major event, like, this major event should be happening next week, right? And by that, I'm talking about the second appearance of Dellinger.
Finally. Yes.
So I thought, like, oh, it's like a Toei, threw in a little treat at the end of 3D2Y. So I thought, like, it doesn't surprise me that they're really milking this.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
But
I
can't complain about it. I thought it was cool. It's not going to have. Unfortunately, most people read the manga, so no one's going to be completely blindsided like they were.
Well, if you marathoned it, like at this point. In 10 years when people are up to this point. Joey, what were you going to say?
Oh, I think that the anime is sort of geared towards more casual viewers and towards, like, younger viewers, right? So, like, without getting into spoilers, this sort of guy that shows up at the end of this episode's a big deal, but I feel like they're having to hint at him a little more and more just to, like, because we immediately, when we saw him, were excited, but, like, someone who's been just watching the anime, which is stretched out, so it kind of takes a little longer, and it might not be your, like, favorite thing in the world that you're, like, obsessing over. You might not kind of get the significance of this character showing up. And so I think that the anime is kind of, like, making it seem more and more clear that this is, like, an important guy that people might want to pay attention to. With the special and with this,
Speaking of, I heard from a reliable source on Twitter that they're doing auditions for Mr. Cravat's voice, so I guess that means they're probably not keeping the same voice actress as... that's all I'll say. So,
but who would you be talking about?
Well, I don't know. We'll figure
I'm surprised. What, are they auditioning him, like, this week?
I don't know when. They don't record it that far ahead of time. I know that because, I mean, that's the last thing they probably do. I don't know when they auditioned, but I had heard on Twitter, so that might be the case. Might not. There's no verification, but we'll find out next week on One Piece. You can check it out at Crunchyroll or OnePieceOfficial.com. Yeah, just quickly, since I said I was going to give my thoughts, I completely agree with Steve. This episode, while it did, of course, have slow moments because it is the anime, I thought had a lot packed in it, actually, considering I think it only covered one chapter because they all cover one chapter. The only major complaint I do have is that I thought the animation was pretty terrible at times. Like, really wonky looking at times. We had a really nice looking episode last week, which might be part of it. Get one good episode, one bad episode, one good episode. But that was a little disappointing. But overall, there was just so much good content that I can't really complain about that much. All right. Any other final thoughts?
That's it.
Okay, let's go into the next segment. Ready, guys?
Okay. This is the Toonami Recap for episode 271. Don't stop. Hoist the counterattack signal. Another great Soga King line from this episode. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So a few things before we get into the episode. First, of course, ratings. One Piece got a 794,000 rating for September 13th. And a 0.6 household rating in the all-important... here we go. 18 to 49 ratings. One Piece got a 509,000, which is respectable. Not a huge drop from 1:30 a.m. And it also scored number one in its time period for adults 18 to 24, 18 to 34, and men 18 to 24 and 18 to 34. But the big news, I don't know if we discussed this yet, is that One Piece will be moving back to 1 a.m. And this is starting on October 4th. Now, actually, we just learned recently that the remaining American franchises on Toonami are expiring. Those being Beware the Batman and Symbiotic Titan they're being written off by the network, so they're never going to be shown again on television.
They're like I said, they're falling into tax write-off purgatory with Megas XLR.
So it's going to be a weird schedule next week. They're putting that on from 2:30 to 6. But One Piece is staying on at 1:30. That's next week being September 27th. And then it will move to on October 4th to 1 a.m. And Steve, you don't have to worry. Space Dandy will be rerunning, so that's good news.
Well, I guess they have some slots to fill now, but me staying up till 3 a.m. to watch Space Dandy, probably not going to happen. Also, probably no one has no idea what we're talking about. I said to Zach in person, I was ranting. I'm like, why isn't Space Dandy being replayed?
Oh, yeah.
It's such a good show, and it did well. Great. Why is it being taken off completely?
I tweeted it's bittersweet that One Piece is moving to 1 a.m. Of course, we wanted to move earlier, but we all are big fans of Space Dandy here, I think. Ed, you haven't gotten to watch it yet, right?
I've watched like the first 6 or 7 episodes of it. It's really good.
Oh wow, okay, that was quick.
Oh no, I mean no, this is over the course of like the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's great. So
now I'm just wondering when DBZ Kai is gonna premiere.
I think they were hinting. First off, yeah, I'm not,
sorry.
I think it'll probably be in the next couple months.
Excuse me.
I remember being so excited about that when it debuted like 6 years ago.
And then extremely disappointed.
Yep.
6 years ago.
The fucking shaky cam on that show is...
If they reanimated the whole thing, I think it would have been a little...
See, I was clamoring for a better dub, and I got that.
That's true. It is definitely a better dub. But One Piece is a pretty damn good dub, and it's going to be at 1 a.m. starting October 4th. Anyway.
Nice transition.
Thank you. Let's get into the episode here, episode 271. So...
a very short total recap this week. It was 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So
let's call it a total recap.
No, like including
like Total Recall, Steve.
No, like the cold open and the song up into the title card. That was 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So much shorter than last week, which was I think over 6. And there's also a little bit of new material in the recap with with Chimney on top of the train spying something on top, far off in the distance. We go straight into the song from that. Yeah, well, we don't find that out until later on. We sort of start out with the Straw Hats who are sieging the island on top of Gamora, and it looked like he was like sparkling, like he had like the anime sparkles, but he was just getting shot.
I do want to note that this episode is pretty clearly the movie 6 animation team, because you get some of that wonky art, but it would look better if it were fluid kind of art, if they had that kind of cash. It looked fine. It wasn't that bad. Go on, though, Ed.
Okay, but yeah, so Gamora keeps getting shot, and Sodom got taken down in the last episode. So Chopper is very sad. He's very sad in this episode, but sort of the sadness party is interrupted when the drunk granny calls, and we finally sort of start to get the objective for this arc. So we find out where Luffy is. We find out how to put the drawbridge. There's a drawbridge at the end of the courthouse. You find out how to put that down, so we have a way of getting across the thing now. So we have more focus in this arc than we had when people were just running amok on the island.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and Kokoro knows this because she had, I think, seen the blueprints from when...
I think they were helping to fix it or something at one point in time, and she was calling them ungrateful because they didn't take their advice.
That government...
Something along those lines.
That's spelled Gubmint.
Yes.
Government.
It felt like such a video game thing. You have to go up to the towers, and each of you have to pull a lever on each side, and then it will close and then open, and then you will be able to cross it. And then you head to the next level.
It's better than just sort of rampaging randomly, though. I like that this gives it purpose.
Enies Lobby is definitely the most video gamey of all arcs in this series. Now that I think about it, it's
actually it's very much an 8-bit video game.
Yeah, it's that move forward in this one setting and beat different bosses and different bad guys and do certain tasks to move further. It's it's like a Mario or something.
And hey, I found characters that I care less about than the watchdogs.
Who?
The jurors.
Oh.
With the giant balls.
Oh God, that's who
I
they were.
forgot about them.
Yeah,
They were in this episode.
I wrote here.
Guilty.
This is how I.
Guilty.
This is how I wrote it in my notes. Gamora readies his rush to the courthouse, but some mysterious guys with cannonballs get in their way. Who the hell is that? Wait for it, wait, who is this? That's how I wrote it. I really didn't know who the hell it was. I don't remember them.
See? They're even less relevant to the story than the watchdogs.
They're completely irrelevant. The Watchdogs at least are funny because they
actually have a funny moment later on in this episode.
Well, the story kind of understands that they're irrelevant. Like, I think, when Oda put them in, which, yes, they are canon, I think he kind of knew they were irrelevant, and that was kind of part of the joke, is that you just, kick them off to the side. Who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But then Judge Baskerville is also there, so everything's better. I love that character.
Really?
Judge Baskerville is so stupid.
I don't know, that gag. I'm not a huge fan of that gag.
Maybe I like gag characters more than you do.
I like gag characters. I just don't know if I like that gag. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, back at the entrance, we have angry giants with crazy eyes, all bloodshot and stuff. And then we see like the watchdogs are like, tongues wagging, tails, very happy.
Tongues wagging, tails. What were you gonna say? That?
I don't know. The dogs were very happy. They're like, and they were like happy that the giants were gonna save them. They're like, the giants are gonna fuck you up. That's what they're gonna do.
Doing dog voices, I think, made this entire podcast for me. So what do we find out about the Giants?
Well, they take out the government folks. And,
switching sides.
Kashi has an axe. People should be chopped clear in half. People should be dying. I'm just saying. It's a giant
been saying
axe.
that for years.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like a consistent theme in this show.
It just struck me there.
Pell, this is the thing you're going to... And there's Pell. Anyway.
It's the image of the giant axe.
Yeah.
It's then we see the Soga King on top of Oimo's shoulder, and he's shot from many different angles with many dons, and
really badass moment here.
Yeah, to raise the counterattack, and yeah, and then we're back up in the Tower of Justice.
And we see Frankie and Robin hanging out, and Frankie's kind of jealous about all the attention Robin's getting. He's like, I wish my Frankie family were here. Look out the window.
I wish my family were here to save me. Boy, that would be super swell. But that's not going to happen.
I like that scene a lot, actually. Bringing some levity to the situation. Meanwhile, okay, this might be my favorite shot.
Lucci puts too much ice in his whiskey.
Well, my favorite part is that Hattori, the pigeon, is also drinking whiskey.
Yes, I wrote that down.
It's hilarious. It's really...
Oh, Hattori, I think you've had too much.
Whoa. This is getting...
Drunk pigeon just poops all over everybody.
Lucci the poop. The one thing I've learned living in the city is that pigeons poop everywhere, all the time.
And they're not stagnant as Hattori.
And as you may have learned, if
you ever watched a pigeon, they don't stop moving.
And if you listen to this podcast between the years 2011 and 2013, you may know that they also used to have sex on my next to my room, and you could hear that going on in the background.
It used to happen.
So now you have to go back and listen to all the podcasts between the years 2011 and 2013, and see if you could hear pigeons having sex in the background. That's after they drank the whiskey.
Or when Zach's sink used to make very loud
gargling noises. I'm very glad I moved out of that way too expensive, terrible shithole.
We get more Kumadori and Fukuro, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Well, first of all, this scene is like my favorite scene in the whole episode, and it's animated differently. I think. No. The flashback isn't, but I feel like the whole entire present scene with CP9 just chilling in the CP9 lounge.
With the Lucci's sexy deep V-neck shirt.
She's
God, yeah.
It's like, hey, my shirt being unbuttoned down this low. Is it too gay? Is it just fine? Oh, okay. Good.
It's so weird because he only wears it.
Well, Lucci guys sound more like what's his name? His voice actor. It's like, my shirt being unbuttoned this far down. Is it too gay? Just fine.
It's funny because that's the only time he wears that shirt, right?
Yeah, I know. Like he's switched out of it. Oh,
By the time
what's that straw hat Luffy's on top of the other tower?
Oh, I better change back.
Better get my work clothes on.
I gotta get my tie. I need my tie.
They all go casual. It's like, oh, it's been a couple
I
hours.
think like a different animator handled the present day scene. I think the flashback was the current animator of that episode. It's weird.
Is there anything else about that scene that you particularly liked?
I really like it because it's the first time in a while that we've seen a character consume a devil fruit.
I think the first time maybe since episode 4.
I also want to talk about.
That episode. Remember, we saw Buggy eat a devil fruit too.
That's right.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And Bluno talks about the devil fruits like they're a scientific phenomenon, proven by professional scientists.
But Jabra says it's magic.
all about
devils,
superstitions and legends.
Jabra's stupid.
And Bluno's like, no, that's stupid. When you eat a devil fruit, if you eat another one, you just explode. Bluno said there's something that happens. I don't think he was so specific. I don't remember.
No, he said that it's been known to scientists in the Grand Line for a long time.
Yes, yeah.
Scientists.
That you can't consume too. This is actually a lot of what Bluno says is very important One Piece dogma.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just like how I always talk about devil fruits like they're magic, but Bluno talks about them like they're some sort of scientific real thing.
Well, you need
they are in the One Piece world.
Yeah, and then they eat the fruits. I wrote the line down. It's like, tastes like crap. I tell you, crap.
I love Jabra trying to convince them not to eat it, mostly because it'll make him look weaker.
That's the interpersonal dynamics of CP9 are actually one of my favorite parts of this arc. Actually, with Kundori and Fukuro,
and we barely get
Jabra.
Yeah,
and Jabra and. Jabra and
Fukuro and
Luci's
Kumidori are just sassy little gossipers in this episode because they're kind of like...
Yeah. They're like, oh, you're just doing it because you're just saying that because you're jealous, right? Go ahead.
How does it feel, though? I'm finding it funny that I'm really starting to talk about this episode a lot. Kaku, it made sense that he was given a devil fruit. He's the second strongest CP9 agent behind Lucci. And then Califa gets a devil fruit. If I was Kumidori or Fukuro, I'd be a little pissed.
They have weird powers already.
It's true.
Beyond,
we'll find out. We'll find out.
It's like Califa. It's like, your sexiness has served us well, but doesn't do shit in a fight.
It's also interesting that... Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe Spondum knows what the fruit is.
Well, they said it wasn't in any book. That's what he said. He said, we don't know what they are. They're mystery fruits, which is weird since... I don't know. I feel like the books are pretty comprehensive from what we hear later on.
Kaku's fruit is shaped like a banana, so everyone thought he was going to turn into like a monkey.
Which would have been pretty cool. I don't think we've seen a monkey fruit yet.
Banana. Anyway.
Is that hand banana?
No, that is from Perfect Hair Forever.
Yeah,
I was close.
Hand banana is also. Didn't you do a good? You did a good hand banana impression, didn't you? Tonight.
All I know is ball and good and rape.
Okay, go ahead.
That was disturbing.
That was an incredibly disturbing episode.
The early seasons of Aqua Teen we're off topic now.
Yeah, let's not get into
talking about this episode for so long.
Actually, no, it reminded me of something in the anime this week where Doflamingo comes up behind.
Now you're ruining everything.
Fujitor. Sorry,
you suck at this.
Stop telling me to do things. I just kept thinking of the clowning.
Okay.
Yeah, but back to the fight. I really wanted to say. That started last week, technically. They saved some really good animation for this little 3.5-minute segment. Blue Note's power is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it does what it should do. Yeah.
But I like that they refer to him as a doorman.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. I'm a doorman.
Yeah, but they do the cartwheel kick thing with Bluno, and they jump around, and the animation's nice, but they just sort of jump around and punch at each other for a couple of minutes, and then we see Zoro, and they are sort of stuck where they are. And want to do the end of the episode, Zach?
Gamora stakes his claim, and Chopper tells everyone to hold tight. That's basically what happens. I do want to note that the Bluno versus Luffy fight is now in part 2 of 4. It is a 4-episode fight. I think most of it taking place in the final part. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're all cool scenes, but come on. It's very frustrating. It's not like... we know they're milking. This is just... the anime milking things. I mean, the same thing happened this week in the anime, but it was done, I think, a little more tastefully than it was here. The NES Lobby arc really does make me appreciate the anime today.
I really enjoyed this episode, though. This
was a fun episode, I gotta say. I think, again, this is an example of the material being better than how it's handled. But it was fine. This was fine. For NES Lobby, it's actually a good episode. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have things that you want to say?
I think I've said pretty much everything I want to about this episode.
The CP9 interactions were my favorite part. Getting to see Bluno use a little bit more of his powers entertaining. It's got its pacing issues, but I think it's a pretty enjoyable episode, though. It gives you some meat on the bone.
I think...
And then some episodes just take that bone, put it in a pot, throw in some potatoes, got yourself a stew.
What?
Nice.
I don't know if that analogy makes any sense to people, but it was
maybe you got
a
stew going.
Yeah, maybe you got a stew going. But some stew episodes are just not that good. So I
think I want my money back
for the stew.
My whole analogy is, if you want to make more food analogies, there's some stew episodes, and then there's some meat on the bone episodes. And I think this was a meat on the bone episode.
Next week is a really big episode. Things really get into gear, and and things really move on from there. It's a really great time to move on to 1 a.m. from 1:30, because that's 274 is also a very, very big episode in the series. I'd say probably some of the most iconic moments occur then, and then we get into a part of the series I'm really, really, really excited about. So I'm happy it's moving to like a reasonable-ish hour now. Let's see it move up a few more when Bleach ends soon. I don't think there's that much left. They're in their final arc. I gotta look that up.
Oh no, that's so sad.
Well,
we've been talking about it ever since like last year.
I think October it ends. Well, I might be wrong, but
we'll talk about it next week probably.
Yeah, I'm curious. So keep your fingers crossed, because if it ends 2 weeks later, then we're gonna have a very cool little mini arc happening at an earlier hour, hopefully.
Well, I mean, it's not a given that we'll get bumped up. So.
No, it isn't.
It'd be nice, though.
It would be nice.
It would be.
It would be very nice. Anyway, why don't we get into the next segment? Are you guys ready?
Before we do that, I just looked it up. Bleach ends on November 1st, 2014.
I think we're just going to miss it. Anyway, let's get into the next segment. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories and then expose the truth to you. Let's get into...
That's threatening, Zach.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's very unsettling now. I'm very uncomfortable.
I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Let's start with Reddit, I guess. Reddit.com/r/OnePiece.
If only nobody gets hurt.
Someone might get hurt. Anyway, Suvless Sunstar, I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but here we go. Hey, One Piece Podcast, this isn't a question. Well, let's just go into the next one. No. This isn't a question, but something that I found interesting in my English vocab and seems related to One Piece. One of the words was mountebank, Sorry. Which
Montebank.
Montebank.
It was an insult used by Sean Connery on an SNL Celebrity Jeopardy once.
It means charlatan, which also makes sense. I just found it very similar to Mont Blanc Noland and how the Shandarians. Wow, I'm messing this question up. I did not believe in his medicine when he came. Anyways, have a great day or night, considering the time that you guys imply that you record. Imply or implode. Anyway. Ed, do you like that theory since you've heard the word?
I'm not really seeing the connection, but I don't know. I like that word.
Do you think Oda used that as inspiration for the name, at least?
I think it has to do with the chestnut on his head, and I think there's a Mont Blanc is a kind of a candy, I believe, a chestnut candy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad I asked Ed.
I mean, it's one of the things that you learn, going through the series.
Yes. Friend of the show, Zoro's Pride, says, assuming the reason the Celestial Dragons know the ultimate ability of the Op fruit is because it has been used before, who in the One Piece world do you think has been granted the immortality in the past? He says, personally, I think the 5 Elder Stars. They're wise for a reason, he says.
There'd be 5 people doing that.
Yeah, that seems difficult.
All right, this is how it works. He'll eat the devil fruit and give me immortality, so he'll die, and then you get the devil fruit, and then you die, so that Gandhi over there is immortal, and then you die, and then you got it. And then you eat the fruit, so Khrushchev could live.
Since Steve and Joey, you guys weren't on the manga recap, if you want to talk about your thoughts on that fruit's abilities, you could go ahead. There's anything you want to say?
I was kind of wondering if Oda is putting that in there just to make Law's ability seem more important and Law having that fruit seem important, or if we are actually going to see that implemented at some point in the series, which would be crazy. I don't know who or under what circumstances like that would happen, but I don't know.
Steve?
Yeah, you kind of got me. I feel like it's kind of it feels like an add-on. Like, oh yeah, and your devil fruit can make someone immortal.
I still like my theory that the Corazon would use it, and that would save Law's life since Law's about to die, thereby giving up his.
Well, I mean, also, and as you noted, and you guys haven't heard this obviously since we talked about it in the manga recap, but the timelines line up.
Yeah, 3 years. 3 years. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because it happened 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. So 3 years from 16 years ago is 13 years ago, which is when the incident happened.
And also, Law explicitly says in the chapter, I have 3 years and 2 months.
Yep, exactly 3 years, 2 months.
Yeah. I forgot. There's so many things happening in the past. I've forgotten that there's several incidents.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Let's go to the next one. Tracker OC says, will Corazon's anime appearance be accompanied with lots of Three Stooges-style cartoony sound effects? More seriously, do you think Corazon became mute because of Doflamingo's patricide, or maybe their mother dying? There's so many terrible things that could have happened to him. Yeah.
I think him going mute is probably from from Doflamingo killing their father. I'd have to guess. He took a vow of silence to not, because so he wouldn't, turn his brother in for whatever reason. We don't know yet. But.
Well, it might not be a vow of silence. It might be forced. When you have a psychological.
If he has the op fruit, he could use the fruit to remove his tongue. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. That's a weird idea, but okay, sure.
Yeah, if we're going with the powers,
No, but didn't we see his tongue, or no, we didn't? If you're part of the Doflamingo family, I feel like seeing the tongue is kind of,
He's got the lips to make up for it.
That's true. I thought that was makeup, but might not be. Who knows?
Did you guys talk about on the manga recap how interesting it is that Oda seems to be really hitting this sort of clown theme hard lately with Caesar Clown and Joker and now a mime character?
No, I wasn't.
I hadn't thought about him as a mime. That's interesting.
He's got the face makeup, and he doesn't speak, and he like falls down a lot, which is kind of like a slapstick clown, like silent clown thing.
Oh yeah,
good point.
No, that's a good point. Steve, any ideas about whether he's going to have slapsticky sound effects or why he became mute?
Maybe he was beaten up by a Toon when he was younger. Or maybe a Toon murdered his brother. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the plot to Roger Rabbit. It would be freaking hysterical in the anime if he had those cartoony slapstick sound effects like, whoop! I can't recreate them with my own voice. Probably wouldn't, but it would be hysterical.
This one comes from The Hobbit, who says, not really a question, but more of an observation. You might have already noticed it in the manga recap, but did any of you, and we did not, so I'll continue, but did any of you notice the scars on the corners of Corazon's mouth? It bears slight resemblance to the Joker from Nolan's The Dark Knight, not to mention his clownish makeup. He said, seeing as how noble his father was, I guess Doflamingo mutilated him. I think there's a lot of assumptions there.
We sort of I said in the manga recap that he looks like a combination between the Joker and Paul Stanley from Kiss, because he has the star in his eye like that.
I don't think that's a scar. I think that's just makeup.
No, the star. On
No, I know what I meant, referring to his question.
You just thought it's like the mime makeup on his
Yeah,
lips and stuff.
yeah, that's all. I didn't notice it. It didn't look like a scar, but I guess it's hard to draw the difference between those two.
Even if it is just makeup, it does kind of mimic the like shape of the Batman movie's Joker's scars.
It does, yes. All right, last Reddit question. This one comes from Yonko Productions, who I don't think we've had a question from in a while. I noticed that in the past, Doflamingo referred to Law as being like himself when he was a kid. The latest chapter made me realize that in the sense that Doflamingo lost his life when he lost his status and he became, quote-unquote, dead when he no longer was a celestial dragon. Now, Law didn't lose any of that status, but he does want to cause so much destruction because his life is at stake, and he is supposedly going to die. What are your thoughts about this parallel between Doflamingo's quote-unquote death through his loss of status and Law's actual potential loss of life?
It's interesting. A thing that I think is really interesting about Doflamingo's backstory as it's shaping up is that it seems like in One Piece, like, to be the most like powerful and driven, you have to have a tragic backstory. And Doflamingo has this sort of combination of a like tragic backstory to him, but to people with like different sets of morals than he does. Like it's kind of an evil backstory where he's wanting to shoot people and have slaves and stuff like that.
It's very childish.
Yeah, so he has an interesting combination of this tragedy and like evil villain qualities.
Which, unlike someone like, well, a lot of the villains.
Yeah, I was thinking, a lot of the villains, we haven't seen their childhood except for, like, Hody. Maybe it's kind of a post-time skip change that Oda's having.
Well, not Caesar, and I don't really care about Caesar's backstory. I mean, we had, like, a 1-minute explanation, and it wasn't from when he was a kid. It was he was, like, 30 or 40-something.
We also had Rob Lucci's childhood a little bit.
That's true.
Okay, that's true.
I mean, we had him destroying the lab, Caesar. Crocodile, I'm sure there's going to be something.
We definitely didn't get Enaru's childhood.
Well, I thought Steve was going to be making that comic. Let's go into some emails here. This one comes from Ben. He says, podcast theory, if not a theory about the podcast, but it's a theory for the podcast. If things go really bad for Doflamingo, what about the idea of Sugar turning him into a toy? Sugar is still around there if she hasn't been moved, and only to have Sugar be captured by the Marines would be poetic justice to have Doflamingo stuck as a toy. It would remove Doflamingo from the memory of the world, helping Law and Luffy, as well as helping King Riku and the Tontadas. Your thoughts? Keep up the great work. That's really interesting. I don't know how that would work, though.
Why would Sugar betray Doflamingo?
I'm thinking as an accident is how this would work.
I mean, you have to like purposely activate your power. She would have to Law would have to do a thing where she was trying to transform someone and he switches Doflamingo in at the last minute. And
that would be crazy. I don't see that happening because I feel like Sugar's out of the picture at this point.
Well, she's
Create
unconscious.
a lot of complications story-wise.
Can't mess with memory loss too much. It's like Men in Black. You can't do the flashy thing too much. You probably give him cancer or something.
So that's all the emails for now. Remember, if you want to email us, just include the subject header piece together, or else we won't see it. But Ed, we have one more part of the piece together segment, and that is
Piece the Tweet. Yeah.
It's time for Piece the Tweet, where we take your Twitter questions, comments, and theories. So Ed, start us off.
Indeed. Munchie the Panda asks, chicken or the egg? Who did Oda come up with first, Korra or Law?
That's a good question.
Law came about in Shaw Buddy.
Hold on.
But if we introduce Doflamingo in Jaya, does Oda flesh out his entire backstory then? Does he outline it?
I highly, highly, highly doubt it.
Given the level of planning, given the appearance of Rayleigh in a certain chapter at the beginning of the manga, it's conceivable. It's conceivable.
I'm siding with Ed.
Nah,
I think it's conceivable, but I think that Oda does a lot of I think he's very skilled at kind of going back on stuff and fleshing it out after he's already sort of made a design, and then he can go back and be like, oh, this design actually is means this or something I don't know.
Kind of like the venture.
Well, I mean,
yes.
But all the question all the question is asking is who did he come up with first? If you invent the character, if you flesh out the character of Doflamingo, the first time you draw him in Jaya, you say, well, this is Doflamingo. He's got a brother named Korra. We'll do some stuff with it later. I think he had that before he came up with Law.
No.
But no, okay.
I don't. I think he may have had the general idea of Doflamingo's backstory. He still does, probably, even though we don't even know it. Kind of what his motivations are, him as a character, and maybe even the idea of him having a crew they are, a family style crew, and ideals and so forth. Things you just need. When I did creative writing, essentially what the things that you want to know about a character are what does he have in his pockets? What are the things that make him tick? I don't think that would include a character design or a character, the character of Korra in general. I think, on the other hand, once he created Law, and I think he knew Law was going to be intertwined with Doflamingo, considering the Jolly Roger and stuff. At that point, he may have known Korra. He may have, that may have evolved after he had both characters in the field, so to speak. So Korra might have been in Oda's head for a while, but I'm more of the idea that it's probably more recent, if you had to ask me. But keep going. I don't know why I talk so long about that.
Huggy V asks, do you think breaking Doffy's hand or fingers would prevent him from using his powers to control people?
I don't know, but I think they should try it.
I mean, good luck. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he has he could put enough hockey in his body, armament, just arm his body up, and I don't think it would happen. I mean, theoretically, but I don't think there's any way of actually breaking his hand. If you're breaking his hand, you're defeating him anyway.
Really? The hand is the key to defeating?
No, but if we're getting to the point where someone is strong enough to overpower Doflamingo's hockey and break his hand like that, I think we're well on our way to defeating him at that point.
It's a weird maybe. I'm not going to discredit it. It's just an odd procession. Okay. All right, whatever. No, it's fine.
Anyone else have thoughts?
I try not to think too hard about okay, so if Doflamingo has a clone right now, Andy has right. Control of Bellamy right now, and then he's also making strings to tie up Luffy and slash him. It seems and the birdcage he could have set up and then let go of his fingers, but it's at a certain point he starts running out of fingers, and it doesn't quite all add up, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if in the anime they're making him wiggle his fingers the whole time he's giving monologues to Law, but somehow I feel that's not going to happen.
See, either way, Doflamingo has to be defeated or at least beaten in some respect because the birdcage has to go away. That can't remain there for the rest of the series, or else no one is getting out, unless there's an underground tunnel of some sort. Sorry, keep going, Ed.
Okay. Mugiwara no Kyle asks, do you think Luffy is using armament hockey on his sandals for octopus stamp?
Yes.
And he says to contrast it with the sandals in the panel beneath. And yeah, I think so. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one comes from Danny Newman, who asks, have you guys missed the other half of the crew since they left for Zoe in December? I can't believe it's been so long already.
Yes.
You know, I miss those characters less than I miss other characters. If other characters had gone off, I think I would miss them more.
Really? I love those characters.
I don't know. My favorite characters in the crew are still on the island. So,
well, Zoro.
No, it was Zoro and Robin and Frankie.
And Luffy?
Yeah, and Luffy too.
You're a pretty big fan of Luffy. Joey or Steve?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Sanji is, I guess he's still my favorite character.
Well, he went through a rough patch. He's been better lately.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, watching this week's anime episode, I was like, all right, man, he's got his spark back.
He's got a cape, kind of.
It's just a fancy jacket.
I know. He's wearing
but yeah, I do kind of miss them. But with everything that's been going on in this arc, I feel full. You know, it's like it's okay that they're not here right now. There's already so much going on that it's okay. Nothing personal, but I don't miss you guys. I'll be happy when you come back. But the story's just doing just fine right now.
I think what's happening is they kind of give Oda an opportunity to branch out once things are kind of coming to a close, because he has potentially like an entire arc or mini arc that he could actually have with those characters and dealing with Big Mom, and who knows what that's all going to lead to and what's going on in Zoe. And
I keep feeling like we're gonna like finally have some huge dramatic ending to Dressrosa, and then we're gonna cut to them and they're like arm in arm drinking and having a great time with Big Mom's crew.
That's also possible. There's a lot of complicated things with Big Mom, because they want Caesar. That's a bad thing. On the other hand, didn't they do something good with them? I forgot the good thing that they did. Well, there's the Tamatabako that's about to explode in Big Mom's face, which is easy to forget.
Maybe Big Mom will like it. She'll think it's spicy or something.
I think it just gives an opportunity, though, for like, you know, we've been in the Dressrosa world for like 2 years almost, a year and a half. So it gives an opportunity for like different villains, different heroes actually, because Sanji, Brook, and that whole group we haven't seen in so long. And plus, there's Law's remaining crew on Zoe, and Kinemon was going to Zoe too, right? I forget.
Yeah.
I think
No.
eventually, wasn't he?
Well, he wants to go to Zoe.
Did he want to go so?
He said something like that. That's such a.
I thought he said he was on his way there, and I'm like, no, he's on Dressrosa.
I think that's originally where they were going to go after Dressrosa or something.
And I wanted to mention something that I didn't get. I forgot to mention during the anime recap as it relates to Kinemon. They were talking about like how important. Let me see if I can find my note here. Big Mom's crew came, and then Doflamingo was sort of on the other end of the line as well in the other fight. But we know why Caesar is so important to Doflamingo. Yeah, but we really don't understand the relative importance of Momonosuke, other than he seemed to be sought after even before he ate the dragon fruit. Mm-hmm. We don't really know why yet.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on there. But
they're really intent on Doflamingo obviously knows who the kid is and wants him for something. So
yeah. It's there's a lot of like really big picture stuff, which maybe the next time after the Sabo episode we do, maybe we could do like a big picture episode and try and kind of fit the pieces together as best we can.
That's the kind of thing we should have Greg for.
Yeah, Greg needs to be on for that. That's something I do want to do, because there's just so much. There's a lot of big picture building here, even but we don't realize it. It's kind of happening kind of under under everything. It's kind of like an undercurrent. It's a little less obvious, like, you know, what happened in O'Hara, for example, which is like clearly that's very big picture building. But I mean, we're well into the second half of the series. I think it's probably safe to say, at least storytelling wise, we're in the second half of the series here. So I think a lot of things are going to coalesce a lot more than they did. I mean, they did coalesce at the end of the first half, but I think they're gonna coalesce quicker and in a bigger way here, clearly in the second half, and I'm
positively congealing.
It's a little disgusting. Any other thoughts? I think we're all done with Piece Together here.
Yep.
Yeah. So why don't we round off this podcast?
All right.
This has been the Unofficial One Piece Podcast, episode 338 for the week of Monday, September 22nd, 2014. Big episode today. Greg no Gougai, Manga Recap. We also had an anime recap, Toonami Recap, and Piece Together for you. Did you guys have fun for the segments you were on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I guess.
Steve, you're so quiet.
I just said something.
I know. You're ruining it. Next week, we're going to have an episode dedicated to Sabo. Really excited to get into that. You guys voted for it, so we're going to talk about him. Just not completely exclusively, but for the most part in that episode.
And if you haven't got volumes 59 and 60, go buy them now. Read it over again.
Yeah, his backstory is, or not his backstory, Luffy's backstory is a lot of fun to read through.
All their backstory.
All of them. Available in English, digitally and non-digitally at vizmanga.com. Yeah, so check that out. We're going to do what we did for the One Piece 101s. So that includes a top 5 Sabo moments, which let's see if we can come up with 5. We'll try. If we can't, we'll probably just do a discussion about him, which might make a lot more sense. Send in your Sabo questions.
Make your own Sabo top 5.
Make your own Sabo top 5, or top 3 is usually what I suggest for fans, because we can't read 5.
That's right.
So yeah, send in your own Sabo top 3. And Sabo predictions. Plus, I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of other stuff since the manga's getting very interesting. And guys, finally in the part of the manga that we've been waiting for, so that's exciting. So check that all out next week. We actually have a lot of cool stuff coming up in the next few weeks. We're going to be at New York Comic Con. That's going to be October 16th through 19th. So check us out there. We will be hopefully posting meetup details within the next week or so. Ed and I are also going to be going to Canada in a week. Just the two
trip.
The two of us on a road trip. If anyone out there lives anywhere near the Montreal or Quebec City or Ottawa, please let us know, and we will plan a meetup if there are more than, let's say, like 4 people out there interested in doing that. That's going to
come take a tour of the Parliament together.
And you know what they say. And you know what they say. There's no Canada like French Canada. It's the best Canada in the land. The other Canada is not quite the Canada. If you live there for a day, you'd understand.
You'd understand.
I think you'd understand.
So if we do that meetup, it will be at a Tim Hortons. That's all I can guarantee.
Oh, it'll be incomplete without me and Dude being there.
We'll drag you. You won't have a choice.
You know what? It's not like I want to not go.
See, my suggestion was to go to Toronto and go to the Brass Rail, but everyone said no.
No one said no. You never even mentioned that.
You did not bring this up with me.
This is the first I've heard about
Also,
this.
I do not know what the brass rail is. So,
What does it sound like, Steve?
brass
A tuba?
rail,
Oh, boy.
brass.
Never mind. Everyone look it up.
Brass rail.
Yeah, anyway, so if you're in Canada that week, we'd love to see you guys. 1 week earlier than that, September 26th through 28th, Steve, you're going to be at a convention, right?
Brass
Next
rail.
week. Steve.
Brass rail.
This weekend, where are you going to be?
Not at the brass rail.
I got that part.
Is that some sort of pun?
It's a strip club, Steve.
a long silence, Steve. Where are you going?
But they use poles, not rails.
Oh my God, whatever. Steve, where are you going?
Where we're going, we don't need rails.
God.
I'm going to AWA. That's Anime Weekend Atlanta. That is this weekend. And by this weekend, I mean the current date of this podcast recording.
26th through 28th of September.
Hey, I'll see you there, Steve.
Hey, he will. And maybe we'll see you.
Ooh.
The fan.
Steve, you're going to be at like 4 other conventions in October, right? Something like that?
Well, three in October. I'm going to be in Anime Weekend Atlanta. That is September. I don't look at calendars anymore.
I just said already, September 26th through 28th.
26th through the 27th. Thank you, Zach. I'm glad you're going.
I'm not.
I am going to AWA. And then afterwards is New York Comic Con.
That's October 17th through 19th.
No, it isn't.
It's October 10th through 12th. Thank you for correcting me. I did say that earlier. It's October 10th through 12th.
So the 17th through the 19th, I'll be at another anime convention in Manchester, New Hampshire. And then October 30th through November 2nd, I'll be at Youmacon in Detroit.
To follow this chronology, the following weekend, we plan on producing our film Z commentary. That's always subject to change, of course, since that's pretty far in the future. So around November 10th, look for a release for that. I think we're all very excited.
What are we going to call it? Because Strong World commentary was so easy to name, we have no idea what
we're calling it the Z-Cast. We had the other Z-Cast. This is the Z-Cast something it'll be called, probably.
Ultra Z-Cast.
Like something.
Ultra Z-Cast.
Mega Z-Cast.
There's a lot of possibilities.
Mazinger Z-Cast.
No.
Dragon Ball Z-Cast.
No. It's the GT-Cast.
Let's not call it that.
7 to the Grand Tour Cast.
Maybe that's the next One Piece movie name. One Piece GT.
Battle of Godcast.
Wait, wrong movie. We already did.
We've been off the wrong movie for a while.
So, yeah, check that out. Film Z comes out on September 30th, which is in like a week and a few days. So check that out. It's a great movie. Funimation really did do a good job with that.
By a week and a few days, you mean a week?
Wow, yeah. No, a week and a day. From when we're recording this. So if you're listening a week.
September 22nd. And by the time it releases, it'll probably be September 3rd.
We are dating this too much. So yeah, check that out. We also have, since we had Greg on, I think we could confirm we will be doing another Jump Festicast this year. We had a few people asking about that. The date is currently undecided, though I am thinking it'll probably come out in January. But of course, as always, for up-to-the-minute news, check us out on Twitter. As far as we know, and it was confirmed last year, Oda will not be doing his normal thing at the convention at Jump Festa. So
he won't be doing anything at all, will he?
He might be there, but I don't know. I don't think he's doing that panel or whatever the stage show.
But now, who's going to sing Family?
Greg, because Greg will be at Jump Festa singing Family. The story I heard about...
I just heard the eternal screaming of Greg.
from here. There's like a writhing while he's cooking his dinner. No! That sounds more like me saying no than him. Anyway, so yeah, look forward to that. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up in the next few months. If there's anything you want to see from the One Piece podcast, you're always free to let us know. But before we get into ways to contact us, Joey, what's going on with you? How could people find you?
They can follow me on Twitter at Joey Weiser. That's Weiser, where I talk about One Piece and old Japanese movies and stuff, and occasionally promote my stuff. Speaking of which, Merman Book 3 Deep Dive is in stores now. I talked about it a little bit on my first appearance on this show, and that's available digitally as well through Comixology, as well as other various venues if you like reading digital comics. And that's through Oni Press. Should be available in any bookstores or comic book stores, Amazon, however you like to buy books. If you're in the Atlanta area on October 3rd, I will be at Little Shop of Stories doing a presentation and signing and stuff. And then, let's see. And then October 25th, I'll be at the Acme Superstore in Orlando, Florida for their Halloween Comic Fest, where there's going to be a new Merman Halloween special, and I'll be signing those and whatever else you've got for me. So come and see me and say hey and let me know that you're a fan of One Piece.
Nice. Steve, what's going on with you? Besides the things we went through.
The things, the conventions. Yeah, that's the big thing right now. Of course, I have my webcomic, Jason the Princess of the Universe, but we're taking a bit of a hiatus because it's going to be pretty crazy with the cons right now. So I'm going to put my focus on that. But hey, if you haven't read it yet, you could read it now.
It's the perfect time.
Yes.
Also,
what are you still doing here? Now.
Yeah, this podcast is ending. What are you going to do after this podcast is over? I don't care if you're driving to work. Read my comic.
Buy my book.
Buy my book. Yeah, if I got a lot of leftover printed editions of Chapter 1, I'll probably put those online to sell. If you're that interested in that, stay tuned. But other than that, follow me at steveyurko.tumblr.com. Follow me at Twitter at Steve Yurko. That's it.
Those print editions are nice. They're big.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's standard comic book size. Like,
They look big to me. Maybe amongst all the mini comics at SPX.
yeah, they're like nice little squares, and mine is like super gloss cover. Thick, matte pages. Seriously, the book, I think if you threw it at someone's head, I think they would be concussed. I was like, wow, these are pretty big. But yeah, if you're taken aback by how much I would charge for the printed edition, it is worth it because they are super nice. Also, I need to make the money back.
One last reminder, the One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan comes out on October 3rd at OPPJapan.com. Jose is also putting together clips. Those will be out throughout the next coming weeks at youtube.com/Funimation. Check all those out, and those will also be out as well on OPPJapan.com. Tell all your friends about this documentary, especially the ones into One Piece, because they'll probably enjoy it a lot more. It's a really interesting insight into not just One Piece, but into the life and times of Eiichiro Oda. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And it was a lot of fun and a lot of work to not just shoot, but as you heard, the post-production efforts, and it's amazing, and we're so honored that it was approved by Eiichiro Oda himself in this process. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Greg's story there. Not just then, if you haven't, go back to In Japan from around this time last year, we recorded a full episode recounting the adventure.
You've been back for a year now, Zach.
Yeah, I know.
Time flies.
I know. When you get older, time goes a lot faster. If there are people listening who are still in school or college or high school, time just speeds up suddenly.
Yeah. When life starts to suck, it just goes by.
Accurate. That's actually very accurate. Ed, unless there's anything you want to promote, how could the good people contact us?
I'm on this podcast every week. But for contacting the podcast, you can go to onepiecepodcast.com, twitter.com, youtube.com, and facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. You can subscribe to the One Piece Podcast on SoundCloud. Subscribe on the Stitcher Smart Radio app. You can subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Don't forget OnePiecePodcast.tumblr.com, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, your theories, and your reasons why the op fruit might keep you alive. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a really great chapter. We've had a really good run of chapters. So if you have any friends who are taking a break from the One Piece manga, tell them this is the time to get back into it. There's a week off. perfect timing. We'll see you next week with our special Sabo episode. We'll probably be doing some more OPP Japan stuff throughout the next few weeks as we lead up to its release on October 3rd. Again, check out OPPJapan.com and keep an eye on our social media pages to see when that officially opens. But until next week, everyone, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
瞳に映った悲しいリアルを壊せぬくもりつきの羽をあげようシュールなだってほしい心から歌うのさ
This is another test of the unofficial One Piece podcast. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
Everything's fine up here. Everything's just fine. Great. How are
like
you?
You're hiding something.
No, it's just radiation leak. I forget what the fucking line is.
Joey,
How are you?
Hey.
say like a sentence or two.
Okay. So I haven't had as much time to listen to podcasts lately, so I've been listening to most of them on 1.5 speed. So it doesn't sound like everybody's chipmunks, but it sounds like everybody's in a big hurry. So I'm looking forward to hearing you guys talking at a normal pace. It'll feel real relaxed.
Maybe we should all talk a lot faster, right?
Hey,
Yeah, we-
right. Hey,
Speed us up, that'd be great.
hey. Hey, Dellinger. Hey.
How is that fast? You're just saying hey a lot.
Yeah, it goes so
associate
fast
very-
that the actual sentences get lost and you just hear, hey, Dellinger.
Sentences get shorter.